hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Welcome to the next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, A Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
Happy May 4th. May the 4th be with you. It is May 4th, 2026. For all my Star Wars nerds in the audience, I know it's a special day for you guys. So shout out. I know Josh and CanCon. One of these days I'm going to watch the Star Wars series, I promise. But yes, it's May 4th, 2026. This is Monday night, which means it is a conversation with just Alpha. If you guys can do me a solid on all the different platforms, as usual, since this show is live, if you can give me some thumbs up, some 5x5s, just so I know that the sound is good. Not going to be too bad of a show tonight. All right. I'm going to jinx it and say maybe 2 hours. I think we're right around there. We'll see how it happens. What are some of my notes for us to talk about tonight? Trump the beekeeper. Arrest incoming, Clinton Foundation, Uranium One, Ouchie, Cole Allen shooter, CIA mission, MK Ultras on deck, Comey arrested. Is it the start? Candace Owens crashes, and Tucker Carlson. Is the dude possessed? And I see the 5x5s coming in, so thank you for that. And shout out, I saw somebody in our Rumble audience, Mermaid, I think it was 222, said, I'm a new fan. I appreciate that, Mermaid, but we're not fans, we're family. That's the way we see it here. But thank you, and I appreciate the love that you showed tonight. You guys, gonna be a good show tonight. If you guys can do me a solid, smash the thumb, hit the heart, and share this out there. We got the channel growing on YouTube. So all you people out there watching on YouTube, thank you for what you guys are doing. At the end of the show tonight, if I can get this show under 2.5 hours, I got a special treat for you guys. If I can't, I'll find a way to get that to you guys at a later point this week. It's around 20 minutes. And I know it's already late for you guys on the East Coast. But if you guys can stick around, if you can handle it and make it to the end, we will have a video that is definitely going to make it worth it for you guys. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of good content we're going to talk about tonight. I do want to address something right now before we get into our ads and then the show. I've seen a lot of people out there, some maybe I'm associated with, some maybe I'm not, saying it's too hard. I'm not going to podcast anymore. I need to take a break. You know, I can't do Substacks no more. I can't do social media no more. I can't. Shut up. Shut up. We're in a war. If you want to tuck tail and you want to go run and hide, you go run and hide. Don't black pill and be the despair to destroy morale. Morale is a weapon. It's what I've taught my audience. It's what I've taught my family. Don't be out there telling people, oh, it's too tough. Then you bit off more than you can chew. Don't underestimate your audience. Don't underestimate MAGA. Don't underestimate America First. And definitely don't underestimate veterans and patriots. You need to take a break. Go take a break. I get very suspicious of people that are out there saying stupid shit like that. That's what I'm going to say about it. You know, what? Southern poverty not going to cut you a check no more? What? Because Elon went and rug pulled the way you guys are manipulating the monetary incentives on X. Guess what? If you're not willing to get into this fight for free, then you don't deserve any of the bonuses that come with it. And so if you see people out there that are telling you that they feel overwhelmed, pardon my French, y'all know I don't cuss that much, but this is a message I want you to tell all of them, man or woman. Man the fuck up. Stop crying. With that, let's get into our first ads, folks, and it's going to be an awesome show tonight. I promise. I'll see you guys on the other.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings. Regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. How about our My Towels? They're finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first time and the only time ever, get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the best offers ever. Quantities are extremely limited, so order now.
Order now. You guys saw Pet Club, My Pillow. Those links down in the description. I'm going to get into the last ad here, at least for an hour or so. But I just want to say shout out. I've seen how many of you guys have started to try the Pet Club, whether it be for yourself or for your pets. And I want to tell you guys, email me how it's impacted your life, whether you're taking it, whether it's someone in your family that's taking it, if it's your pets. Share your stories with me, and then let me know if I have your permission to share it with the audience. I won't use your names unless you're okay with it, but I would love to share some of the stories that you guys shared with me. And some of you that have already emailed me, just send me another one and say, hey, I don't mind if you share my story, you know, change my name or something like that. I don't mind doing that. So let me do the Rumble wallet. And then when I come back from this, I'm going to clarify something because I saw some comments in the chats. But before we do that, let's give some love to Rumble. Quick question. How much control do you actually have over your money right now? Technology has changed everything, and now it's changing how money works. Crypto started as a niche, but now it's going mainstream. Faster payments, more control, fewer middlemen. This isn't hype. This is where things are going. And getting started today is easier than you think. That is where Rumble Wallet comes in. With Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, hold dollar-backed stable coins, even own digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. Setup is simple. It connects with MoonPay so that you can use your debit card, credit card, or bank account and be up and running in minutes. Start small, $10, $50, $100. And it's not about the amount, it's about getting in early and understanding what comes next. And once you're set up, you can even tip your favorite Rumble creators, like me, directly. So do this now. Scan the QR code that's on the screen or click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. That easy. Take control of your money. Get started with Rumble Wallet today. Again, if you're like, I don't see a QR code on the screen, it's because you got to be watching over on Rumble. So bounce over there, smash the thumb, leave a comment. You can go back to the platform that you're comfortable with. It definitely helps me. So some clarification. I've seen some people, but Alpha, I'm taking a break. I don't care if you guys take a break. You guys can take breaks. I'm talking about the people that have made the decision to publicly take, I hate using the word influencer, but have publicly said, I'm going to come out, I'm going to be an influencer, I'm going to be a content creator, I'm going to be someone who leads this movement in this information warfare. I'm talking about those people. When they come out and start crying, oh, it's too much, oh, this is heavy, we're taking on the damn deep state. What do you think it was going to be? Did you think that Trump was going to come out, do some mean tweets, and that the deep state was going to say, oh my God, that scares us. We give up. We surrender. Here's the white flag. Forgive us. No. Hell yeah, it's going to be a fight. They want to destroy and enslave humanity, and we want to free humanity. Everybody better buckle up. This is where we're going. I saw someone in the chat put fight, fight, fight. Damn right. As hard as all of us are working, as tired of as some of us have been, that man that holds the office of president had that piece of lead fly by and rip into his ear. And guess what? He could have said, you know what? I'm a very rich man. I have a very nice house. I got a very successful family. This is a little too much. And I'm going to just back on away. And he said, hell no. He got up and he said, fight, fight, fight. You got some assholes out there that want to say that was acting. Yeah. Just because a bullet didn't fly at your head, right? Regardless, we're in the fight for humanity. We're in the fight for this country. So with that, let's get this stuff up on the screen. And if you guys need to ground yourself, you need to go touch grass. I don't mind. The self-care is important. I saw somebody put that in there. Self-care is absolutely important. But just remember how many people are watching you. And whatever you think that number is, multiplied exponentially, because more people watch you than you know. And if you act weak, you can create despair. And again, morale is what? Morale is a weapon. All right, let's get into the show, folks. Started this off with an old post that's, every now and then makes its rounds onto social media. And Scavino posted it November 21st of 2020. And then, Trump said so much truth. And that was on November 27th, 2020. And again, maybe that teaser video is what got me all fired up. But here's where we're at. And we have a lot of reasons to be happy right now. Right now, we should be absolutely motivated with what's happening. And guess what? If you're not feeling it, by the end of the show, you're definitely going to feel it, because this is not the podcast for plaque pilling. This is the podcast to motivate. So for all my Star Wars peeps out there, on May 4th, the White House put out, in the galaxy that demands strength, America stands ready. This is the way. May the 4th be with you. Pretty cool. I gotta admit, that's pretty cool. I liked it. I figured we would start there. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna. Thune is blocking voter ID. It's Thune. He controls the Senate. So let's start off with a call to action right out of the gate, folks. And I know you guys know, if you watch this show, our elections have absolutely been stolen from us and compromised. However, you absolutely need to vote. We vote while we fight. Okay, we can multitask. We are smart people. But one of the things that you can do in this call to action is tomorrow, find out who your congressman is, find out who your representatives are, and make a phone call to two. Do it while you're driving to work. Do it while you're driving to get your kids at school, on the way back from work, on the way back from picking up your kids. Get on the horn and say, hey, you better put some pressure on Thune, and I want to see it. Folks, when the phone calls come in, they feel the pressure. When the emails come in, they feel the pressure. And if you handwrite a letter, they most definitely feel pressure. That snail mail terrifies these people. So was looking for my little, you guys don't know this. I was given this by one of our Badlands media people. Has a little curve to it. And so if you guys ever see, what's Alpha doing in his hands? I got Jesus with me, right? So, little insider information there. And shout out to the person that gave this to me. May God continue to bless your life. So again, there's a call to action right out of the gate. Let's fly through this so we can get into the themes tonight. The official Axel Vasso puts breaking former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax just shot and killed both his wife and himself overnight at their home. Holy crap, absolutely tragic and devastating. This guy was troubled. Let's take a listen to this news brief real quick.
They are doing continuous coverage on this right now. We want to head over and listen in live.
To statewide office in the Commonwealth of Virginia. That was a big feat. Before him, it was Doug Wilder, and after him, it was Winsome Earl Sears. But certainly that was big news, and big news that as the lieutenant governor, he was next in line to possibly become governor if indeed Governor Northam had chosen to resign after that blackface photo controversy. Ultimately, Governor Northam decided not to resign, and he was able to weather that storm. But during all of that was when the news came out of two different women who had accused Justin Fairfax of sexual assault, one while he was at Duke University and the other while he was at a Democratic National Convention.
So, what's going on here, folks? We see another representative that went down in a plane crash. I believe it was North Dakota. Could this just be a atrocious act of domestic violence within the home because of issues? It could be. It really could be. Occam's razor, right? But I want to bring this to your attention. So just because we can all kind of monitor this, there's a lot of headlines that break throughout the country that don't always make the mainstream. But you guys will say, "Hey, did you catch this?" And it didn't. And so then I go look into it. So I just want you guys have your heads on a swivel for any acts of violence. Sudden deaths, suicides, any of these things that start to happen with government officials in your area. If you catch it on whatever platform you're watching, shoot it over to me, because I do keep stuff. Not all the stuff makes it to the show, but it doesn't mean that I'm not tracking it. The other thing we're going to do a little different tonight is as the Rumble rants come in, I'm going to read them just because I know these shows are a little longer, and we'll see how it feels. And if I don't like it, it's too much of a distraction, we'll just revert to the old way of reading Rumble Rats and the YouTube super chats. We'll do them at the end of the show. But since they're so long, I know some of you guys can't make it to the end. And we got right here, WTBY free, $5 Rumble Rat says, love Just Alpha, but man, I never know when you're going to do a show. And us East Coasters got to sleep at some point. Keep up the great work. God bless. And thank you for that Rumble Rant, WTBY. And so let's get on to the next one. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche puts out, shall not be infringed, means exactly that. And under the bold leadership of POTUS, this Department of Justice is taking unprecedented action to defend the Second Amendment rights of Americans. Today, we're announcing regulatory reforms to the ATF headquarters gun rules, which protect public safety while not infringing on one's right to bear arms. While the previous administration did everything they could to restrict constitutional rights of American citizens, this administration is restoring them. And again, there was another headline I wasn't able to get it to share with you guys, but I'll tell you guys about it, of Judge Janine went out, and there's a city, I believe it might be Colorado, I could be mistaken, but there's a city that she actually served with the cease and desist letter regarding the Second Amendment going after quote unquote assault rifles. So this administration is actively going out there to protect our Second Amendment. So all those black pillars that are telling you Trump wants to take away the guns, tell them to, kick that to the wind, because we know that's not the truth. Let's keep going. We have Breaking the Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis has been raided by the FBI, part of the Trump fraud crackdown. The FBI raided more than 20 locations, including child care centers, as part of the ongoing sweeping fraud investigation into largely Somali-owned businesses. And I have this one for you guys to listen to.
Large-scale raids targeting federal fraud currently underway. Federal agents seen leaving the Quality Learning Center. And Brooke Taylor has more on that and what they're looking for. Brooke, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Yeah, we have had a photographer there at the daycare since this morning, capturing video of those federal agents just going in and out of the building, collecting evidence as part of the DOJ's fraud investigation in Minnesota. Take a look at this video here. Sources tell Fox that federal agents are raiding about 22 businesses across Minneapolis this morning, and sources say many of them are tied to Somali-owned operations. All of this comes after that viral YouTube video from Nick Shirley. It was back in December. In that video, he visited different child care centers. And you'll remember they were either closed or there were just no children inside, despite receiving state child care funding. Now, the location that you're looking at right now, it's the Quality Learning Center. This is the daycare. It went viral. It blew up on social media because of a sign outside with learning that was literally misspelled.
The learning was misspelled, most definitely was. $5 coming in from our Broadway. I just want an alpha schedule. You make sense in a crazy world. Always great shows. Thank you. We will try to lock these down on Mondays, folks. I am working on it. I promise. Kyle Becker, Justin Rubio fires officer over hidden relationship with daughter of CCP official. Again, folks, these are those things we've talked about, leak operations. We're actually going to be talking about that on probably Wednesday when we do some Gladio. But here's another sign of it. You know, that's how deep this runs. Now, was this a honeypot operation? Was this a fang? We don't know yet. But the fact that this relationship was kept secret, I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, this was Romeo and Juliet. I'm going to say it was kept secret because there was something nefarious and they were trying to probably have their ear to what this administration is trying to do. But again, this administration's on top of it. They caught it and he's been removed. Next, Miss Mary breaking federal appeals court grants unrestricted use of crowd control weapon at Portland ICE building. April 27, 2026, the court's ruling eliminates restrictions imposed by 2 federal judges in Oregon that strictly limited when federal officers could use tear gas on crowds outside the facility. In a win for the Trump administration, a federal appeals court ruled Monday that officers can use crowd weapons outside of immigration and customs facilities in Portland without restrictions. Isn't it crazy that you have to have a court to go and correct that issue? This is common sense. Instead of saying, hey, these officers should use any means necessary to maintain peace and prevent chaos, they were trying to restrict them from using weapon systems that are less lethal. Not non-lethal, but less than lethal. And this is, again, there's a portion of this government that was installed by the Biden administration, the Obama administration, and every administration before that absolutely hates our first responders. Obama created a war on first responders, and it's never really tapered down until Trump came into the picture and we started to get some patriotism back in the mix. But again, big win, and I hope that our guys continue to thrash on all these rioters. Next, we have Real Robert reporting. Here it is, King Solomon reporting. Holy God, again. And this one's solid, folks. Listen to this.
There are scores of raw intelligence reports that show Chinese meddling in the American election. And there's one report raising concern that Ukraine was engaged in a plot to do something bad in the 2024 election to help Joe Biden. I want to repeat that. There is intercepted intelligence that the Trump administration has had for many, many months, in which it is suggested by Ukrainian officials that they're going to try to help Joe Biden win the election using American taxpayer money.
They use our taxpayer money for a lot of stuff except help us, right? Again, we're talking this time window that we've always said. You know, you guys know I've referred to it as this choke point that's coming on us as we approach midterms. You're seeing it's a CCP influence into the elections. You're seeing, you know, these Second Amendment things that are being fixed. There's a few more things that we're going to talk about through the night. But again, just remember that all that frustration, and I know many of you felt it, and it was from an honest place of why haven't we seen the arrests? Why haven't we seen them make moves to try to correct the elections? Why haven't they done this? And why haven't they done that? Well, they were doing the things to make sure that they prevented, the loss of life. And this is one of the reasons we secured the border. This is one of the reasons that we've seen HSI, Customs Border Patrol, our feds out there getting rid of these people that came in here illegally from other countries, that they're not here looking for the dream. They're here because they came here to create chaos. We're talking military age males with a mission. And so those things were being dealt with, but everything else it's a rhyme and it's a reason. And now that we all see this playing out, we see the Comey, and I don't want to get ahead of the show, but we see the stuff coming down with Comey. We see the stuff coming down with Fauci. We see the stuff coming down with the Clintons. It's all coming at once. And people can't say, well, you're just saying it's because it's happening that way. No, if you've been watching this show for a while, I said that this was going to happen that way, that you're going to see Trump do to them what they were trying to do to us, overwhelm them in this checkpoint so they don't have all the resources. They have to triage. And while they're triaging, they lose control of the chessboard and the moves that they thought that they had. Shout out, another Rumble rant coming in. Wow, $50 coming in from Didi2902. Thanks for all you do, Alpha. You are brilliant. God bless you. And Mrs. Alpha and the little Alphas, sending love and light to you from Jersey. Brilliant. Crayon eater. I'll say brilliant for a crayon eater, but they're much smarter people than I. But I do appreciate the compliment. So thank you for that, Didi. Let's keep pushing on. Thank you for that, John Solomon. We get Susie Wiles. Okay. Me and Josh talked about this. I'm not sure if it was Overwatch and The Guardian or Q After Hours. It was one of those shows, but just in case people weren't aware of it, I wanted to make sure that we covered it here tonight. And what am I talking about? A couple days ago, Susie Wiles, I know we aren't fans of her, but Susie Wiles came out and said, I'm joining X to share occasional updates about the work we do at the White House. We are relentlessly focusing on advancing President Trump's agenda and delivering on promises to the American people. I welcome different viewpoints. Follow along for insights and information. And that post got a little over 10 million views. So just so you guys are aware, Susie Wiles has entered the information battle space, and we will track that as it goes. I just want to make sure you guys were aware of it. FBI Director Kash Patel puts out on the 28th, the FBI and our great partners have arrested Susie Wiles, a PRC national and state sponsor hacker, allegedly responsible for a massive cyber intrusion in the 2020 and 2021, stealing COVID-19 research from American institutions. And I put out, for those of you guys who don't know, when you read this article, this guy, and there's a lot to it, but I put out of Italy, you say, almost like a sting operation who was set up there in, I don't know, maybe February. What am I talking about? You guys remember when everybody was trying to bash on Kash Patel because he was at the hockey game? And they're, oh, he's drunk, he's this, oh, he's out there partying, he should be doing director shit. And if you guys remember, I said, I think it was either that night or the next morning. It was definitely in less than 24 hours. I said, just wait, because you're going to find out that he was out there handling some business. And all of a sudden, what do we find out? That there's an operation here. There's people getting arrested. And where did this information generate from? Italy. And where was Kash? Oh, that's right, Italy. And let me just adjust one of these screens that went a little sideways on me. Oh, man, you guys are loving on the show tonight. Thank you. FTW 1976, $10 Rumble Rant. Your experience knows the drill. Nick Shirley is the bum in 7 even needed to give a legal warrant. Morgan, quote, was yelling at Pitt, we need a reason to knock on this door. I'm okay with it because we need justice. You guys are too kind. If you guys aren't tracking, Nick Shirley went out there to Cuba to do some reporting. And I'm glad he had a security detail with them, because he realized that if you go out there and you don't go with the nation state's babysitter or tour guide that they give you, you start to feel the pressure. And they felt like they were going to get kidnapped or held hostage. So if you guys weren't aware of that, I think he said something about that today. Let's keep pushing on. Senate Judiciary Democrats. This is what the Supreme Court conservative supermajority just enabled. Court map. Democrats hold 24 seats in these states. possible redistricting scenario, Republicans gain, and those scenarios are absolutely a win because the Supreme Court came out and just smashed on that. They are pissed because they are losing the cheat of gerrymandering. And look at that, folks. I can't wait to see how this unfolds here in California. But look at, damn. But you got people out here blackpilling. We're going to get cooked in midterms. Look, statistically, out of the last 23 midterm elections, presidents, when they are going into their second term, lose the House. 20 out of the 23 times that has happened. What is that? 80 some percent, 83%, 82%, right? I just lost the brilliant tag. Somebody's going to correct me. My math is way off on that. But yes, historically, that's what it looks like. I get it. But we are not operating the way we have historically. We see these things like the gerrymandering coming out. We see the stuff like John Solomon's talking about, hey, we're finding out China was involved with this. There's stuff that is moving. You guys know my position on the SAVE Act, and we'll see if that needs to be adjusted. I haven't shifted my opinion on that just yet. But again, these are the moves that are coming down the pipeline. And the closer we get to these midterms, and the more wins we have like this, the Democrats are going to try something exceptionally stupid. And they're going to try to force Trump's hand. And I think that there's a plan for that. And we'll talk about that as we get closer to those time frames. Times are crazy. And just going into the conversation we had. So Nick Sorter reported earlier today, breaking an armed man opened fire in the vicinity of Vice President J.D. Vance's motorcade near the White House per the U.S. Secret Service. The man opened fire on Secret Service. U.S. Secret Service returned fire, taking the shooter down. No law enforcement officers were injured. Pray not only for 47, but also pray for our vice president. And keep our Secret Service, man. Listen, these guys, these are professionals. These are good guys. Now, we know some made it into the ranks through DEI and who knows what other party favors got them there. But we know that this administration has been trying to, clean that up. And the fact that there's been these many attempts on the president and they haven't got to him, then give these guys some credit. They're doing their job. So, but again, vice president, scary situation, folks. The White House posted, and this was 2 days ago, America is worth protecting. It says worth protecting. And very iconic image of our bald eagle sitting atop our American flag. And I want to take a brief second, folks, to remind you guys, this country is worth protecting. There are a lot of people, some enemies, some friends that want you to lose hope. They want you to lose faith in God and hope in America. They want to use terms to trigger you. You are a Trump occultist. Oh, you're Q-tards. Or if all they can do is insult you, then they don't have a leg to stand on, folks. They can't. Everything that they've told you that was going to backfire didn't backfire. There wasn't an endless war with Venezuela. Wasn't an endless war with Mexico. Wasn't an endless war with the Middle East. As a matter of fact, in the next 16 hours, you're probably going to see the UAE and some Middle East countries go on there and start, handling business, which is something we also told you back. We said, and here's let me squirrel. Well, actually, here, I don't want to sidetrack. I'll just put how they're going to sell it. So I don't forget to tell you guys this. I've told you already, but I'll remind you, especially if we got new viewers. But to this point here, folks, the tariffs, it was going to backfire. Everything that they've done to destroy your morale, they've been wrong on. Everything. There's not one thing that they've gone wrong. Right. They come out and they tell you, the Trump didn't keep his promise on the deportation numbers. And then you ask them how many self-deportations were. Whoa. Exactly. They try to manipulate information that they think you're not going to be aware of in order to impact your motivation and confidence in this president, and in order to impact your faith in our God. Here's the thing, folks. Religious institutions, I don't care what title it is, Catholic, Christian, Judaism, Islam, the institutions are just as corrupt as governments. And And people want to create tribalism out of that, right? We will get that stuff fixed too. Why? Because our creator doesn't lose. Shout out, $5 Rumble Rack coming in from Deserio, if I said that correctly, or SD Asidio. Forgive me if I said that wrong. Praying that since the spotlight has started to shine on teachers, unions, and friends funneling around billions of dollars to the cabal-run programs, that the rest of their evil schemes will come to light. Let's pray. You know, I got 2 little ones that are going to be getting ready to enter that. But here's a part that I wanted to make sure that you guys know. As Trump came out, and he said, "Hey, Trump, the war with Iran, now we're done. We're done. We obliterated them. We're done." He put out the memo to Congress, and he said, "But we're going to keep our military in the area, you know, so in case they act retarded, you know, we'll be in a position to do something." Of course, he did this because of that 60-day time window. But one of the things I told you guys to be prepared for, this was probably about a month ago, was I said, hey, when Trump says that he's either done or we're going to pause back off this, they're going to try to sell it as, oh, it's a loss. He's retreating. Iran won. And if he stays, then he's a tyrant. So no matter what move Trump makes, they always try to get creative to make it look like it's something bad. But the reality of it is it's a win. And I told you guys what's going to happen is as Trump removes us being the priority, you know, at the forefront, you're going to see a conglomerate of the nations in the area that are then going to inflict what needs to be resolved with Iran, the way it should be. And that's a win. And you're probably going to see that start tomorrow or in a couple hours for some of you that are already in tomorrow. It's only 9:22 for me on the West Coast. So that was important. Wanted to touch on that. Let's get going. We're almost into the themes tonight. Eric Dowdery puts, just now, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth drops this truth. And I have this clip, so let me just play it.
I haven't talked about it as much in these hearings because this is a budget hearing about $1.5 trillion that's historic and significant. But underwriting the change that we've seen at our department was a laser focus on getting back to basics. And the key word to that is merit. We had a department that was obsessed with gender, ideology, and race, diversity, equity, and inclusion. In fact, the mantra you would hear dripping from the lips of generals and with a serious look on their face was, "Our diversity is our strength," which is the single dumbest phrase in military history. Of course, our diversity is not our strength. Our unity is our strength, our shared purpose, the flag we wear, and the Constitution we serve to defend. And when you clear that debris away, whether it's Marxist ideologies or social engineering or political correctness or quotas based on gender and diversity, you get the best of the best rising up, regardless of gender, regardless of race, motivated by that environment where merit reigns. It's accountability, standards, lethality, readiness, training, all the debris wiped away. That is the secret sauce of the revival of the War Department and why Americans are attracted to serving in it and why those inside it, why morale is sky high. And any insinuation that it is not are coming from folks who haven't been in our units recently. Go visit the troops at every level, and their morale is at record levels.
And I want to talk record levels and morale. And you guys know you guys are probably so damn tired of hearing me talk about morale. When we're in information warfare, I mean, morale is it's extremely important, kinetic warfare, but also it is in information warfare. So when he's saying morale is at its highest, it is, and that's why it's being attacked so much. This wraps up just getting caught up on the general news. We'll start moving into our themes. We had another Rumble rant coming in, $10 from FTW 1976. He says, "I see lefty friends melting down over mainstream media reporting over gerrymandering that ours are rigging. What happened to A. Schwartz, California governor? Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I gotcha. Ex-California governor leading the charge, exposing that 15 years ago, way before we woke up." Hey, remember they wanted, look at they broke laws. The only people that can change our election laws in the state are the state legislators. But yet they had judges and governors doing it because of COVID. That doesn't, so what about COVID? There was literally laws in place and this stuff was changed. And now they want to cry because their cheat tactics are being pulled away. Sorry, not sorry, right? So next, these two are going to make you guys feel, these are going to bring a smile to your face. For the last couple of years, we have seen this extreme element of the left, and not even just the left, just anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, anti-America first, come out and put all these videos, and it happened without consequence. Now, listen, I don't think government should have any involvement unless there's an actual crime of something that's stated, but because we do have freedom of speech, and I'm an absolutist when it comes to that. But that doesn't mean that it's not without consequence for your peers, for the free market, for your job. And so I want you guys to take a listen to what this clown said, and then we'll tell you what happened to her.
Man, there's been a few creators on here saying that like Friday or yesterday could have been the day. And then I wake up to that news, but not that news. We're gonna have to pay really close attention to what they're trying to actually distract us from.
Breaking: Cincinnati kindergarten teacher Corinne Baum has been fired following the video where she complained that Trump wasn't assassinated. Another one bites the dust. We had two quick rumble rounds coming in here. Dollar for dollar ZBM. You can't include Islam with other Christian religions. Islam is an ideology all of its own, and after learning the history of Muhammad, it's absolutely a destructive, deceptive ideology attached to a religion. And then we got dollar for dollar coming in from G Fontes 119. So awesome if the White House Chief of Staff Wiles is going to sick with releasing the much needed messaging. She's a master at campaign funds and networked with every Republican down to school boards. You are definitely more excited about her than I am, G Fontes, guys. I still don't trust her. But this wasn't the only one, folks. We have this one. And did I get this? I do have this one for you guys. Take a listen to this one.
We're cooked as a country when my first reaction to hearing the news about Trump's attempt was, it was probably fake. Like immediately I was like, oh, that wasn't real. Probably fake. And the second was, aw, they missed? So happy they missed. Oh. Yeah, that's sad. That's when you know we're cooked.
So, United Healthcare says violence is never accepted, and any comments that suggest otherwise are in no way consistent with our mission and values. The person who made the comments online about Saturday night's incident at a Washington event where President Trump and many other political leaders were gathered is no longer employed by the company. Libs of TikTok says breaking: social media manager for United Healthcare has been fired following the deranged video, appearing disappointed that the shooter missed. Good riddance. And we're going to see more of this, folks. We're seeing, and some of us knew that it was coming, so it's glorious to kind of bathe in the reactions of it now. But some of the things we've been telling people on social media is there are some people on social media that were saying things that were actually criminal, and they were crossing the line. And we said knocks at the doors were coming, and those knocks have been coming, and some of those people have been taken into custody, and that's what happens. FAFO. And in this situation, you have these people that they've seen for years this rhetoric come out, and they're used to being cheered on. They're used to that this happens, and then their popularity grows. They trend, and everybody's like, yes. And what they're seeing now is, sorry, but all those bots that were promoting you, that were being paid for by USAID, all those bots and accounts that were being paid for by the National Endowment for Democracy, all those bots and accounts that were being paid, supported, or influenced by the Southern Poverty Law Center, well, guess what? Them checks are cut. And so now you're seeing what the reality really looks like of how the American people feel. Let's keep going. Now we get into the bee conversation. So the White House posted this. You guys saw it a few days ago. Got the 3 bees. And you got Trump holding the bee in his hand. He's got the royal family right there, and he's not getting stung. This was on April 28th. And then we go into the Beehive movie. For those of you that are not familiar with it, if you have not seen The Beekeeper, it's about one man taking down the corruption. And I have a clip of the trailer on this. Not the whole trailer. I'm going to show a clip because I'm trying to get this to fly without having my YouTube family get taken down. So let's take a real quick clip of this, and then we'll talk about it.
A beekeeper? Well, that's not good.
Beekeepers is a special program outside the chain of command.
I protect the hive. When the system is out of balance, I correct it.
We have laws for these things.
Until they fail, then you have me.
My fingers, he cut him off. Oh, what the fuck, bro?
Don't move.
And Donald Trump, of course, puts himself as the beekeeper, restore order, protect the nation. And that brings us to Ultramaga Dean, who puts the White House is at it again, sending out another big comm. What's Ultra talking about? The White House's post, "The Buzz is Real," is a 26-second video of bees flying around the White House beehive and has a timestamp of 3:01 Eastern. Q26, going off the 26 seconds. Think about it logically. The only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread once 11.3 verifies as first marker, biggest advanced drop. And then we get to 3:01 going off the timestamp. Hashtag fly, Roth fly, sweet dreams. And then the buzz is real. Big data point. Listening to beehive sounds, aka the buzz, is a very well-known practice that is used for sleep. Think about it logically. The only way the military is fully controlled, safe, and spread, fly, Rothschild fly, and sweet dreams. Another thing we need to think about logically is that President Trump is withdrawing 5,000 troops now and has threatened to withdraw more from Germany as well as Italy and Spain too. In other words, NATO's done, folks. Logical thinking would lead you to believe that he's pulling the troops out for multiple reasons, but the main reason would be to bring them home to prepare for things that are coming soon here in America. I have a little disagreement with there, but that's okay. Remember, if the only way is the military and it's going to be fully controlled, that he has to start bringing them home and he needs to do it now. And this is referenced the other video that the White House did today, and they put "The Buzz is Real." And I'll let you guys take a listen to this one.
Beads.
Bees?
Beads.
Beads? Bzzz. Bzzz. We'll see who brings in more honey.
So you got to love this, folks. They put it out there. They liked the way we were talking about it, and they brought it out again because they wanted to make sure people understood the comms. Let's catch up on some Rumble rants that came in. Dollar for dollar, FTW, sum that up. Islam is terrorism hiding behind religion to try to exploit the protections of our Constitution. And then shout out to Miss Rhea Freedom Fighter, who gifted 1 subscription. Thank you for that. Much love. And then I want to bring you guys to this. This is an old post. This is from 2020. Dan Scavino put it out there. My next piece is called "Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming." And then Trump reposted it and he put, "Who knows what this means, but it sounds good to me." This is probably one of the biggest troll posts that Trump did against the deep state. And I've been wanting to share it for a while. And I was like, this is a great episode to bring this out there. Because we are at that moment, the precipice that has been talked about for so many years. We are there. Comey just got arrested, folks. Probably another big one happening tomorrow. Keep your fingers crossed. But when you have Scavino go out and put, Trump playing the violin, my next piece is called "Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming." And Trump says, who knows what this means? He's talking to us because we know what it means. We know what the reference is here. And he says, but it sounds good to me. It's time to lock in, folks. This president, these good guys, they're about to open up a can of whoop ass on the deep state. And we got to be there to navigate through it, because the other side's going to try to flip it into chaos. This brings us into, how does this all going to look like? And I think this is a great foundation point. This is probably going to be one of my favorite parts of the show tonight. I'm going to start it off with this. And let me make this a little bit bigger so it's easy for you guys to read as well if you're watching on a phone or something. And I know it says a new version's available and you guys are probably like, click reload. My fear is that if I do that, it's going to take down all the tabs I have of everything I got laid out for you guys. Got to figure a way for X to let us pull this content offline in case something was to happen. So For those of you that are wondering, like, Alpha, you blind? No, I see it. I'm just operating from a position of caution. General Flynn puts, this past Saturday night, Glenn Beck handed me an original pair of spectacles that belong to George Washington. There are moments that stop you cold and remind you exactly what we're fighting for. This was one of them. The man who led a ragged army through impossible odds, who refused to become a king when the world would have handed it to him, who warned us about the dangers of faction and foreign entanglement. Washington didn't fight for his generation alone. He fought for every generation that would come after him. He fought for your children and your grandchildren. He fought for a country he would never fully see completed. That's the weight of what he carried, and that's the weight we carry now. The future of this country is not guaranteed. It has never been. Every generation gets handed the torch and asked the same question. Will you hold it or will you drop it? Right now in this moment, that question has never been more urgent. Our institutions have been corrupted. Our borders have been exploited. Our children have been taught to be ashamed of the very flag Washington bled beneath. But I'll tell you what I felt holding those spectacles. I felt resolve. Washington put those lenses to his eyes so that he could see clearly in the darkness of his time. This is exactly what we're called to do in ours. See clearly, stand firm, and refuse to surrender 1 inch of what he and every patriot after him purchased with their lives. Thank you, Glenn. And there's the picture of the general holding those spectacles. Now, let's pause here for a moment, folks. And I want you guys to think about something. One of the things that he said right now is we never surrender an inch. And this is why I've been pushing so hard on the conversation. We have to vote. And I know some of my friends and some of my coworkers will tell you that elections are fake and gay. Elections are not fake. They are stolen. You show up to a precinct, you grab a physical ballot, you go, and whether you sign it or whether you touch a screen, those are all very real things. And again, people don't steal something unless it has value. And so when all these men, our war fighters then to our war fighters today that never made it home, your family, your friends, my friends, that got brought home in a box with an American flag draped over it, that vote is an inch, folks. And if you say, I'm not going to vote, you're giving up an inch. That is surrendering. We vote as well as fight to secure our elections. We do both, but we don't surrender ground that we already have. The other thing is, remember, these were the spectacles of George Washington. And now let's get into this next post from the general and pay attention to the painting behind him when I go and I play the video for you guys. Breaking, understanding enemy doctrine. Don't kid yourself. You can eliminate a leader, but you cannot eliminate a doctrine. Iran has spent 40 years establishing a decentralized command structure designed to endure beyond any targeted strike. Bin Laden is no longer alive, and several top commanders of Hezbollah have been removed, yet these movements continue to survive and grow. This is the reality we need to grasp before we declare victory. Are we studying the doctrine or merely counting the casualties? And I want you guys to think here. Of course, he's talking about Hezbollah, but I wonder, people say, well, the intelligence agencies created these terrorist units. And you're right, they did. But it doesn't mean that these terrorist organizations, whether it be ISIS, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, these still take on real organic fighters that have fallen for the propaganda, have fallen for the ideology. And this is what he's talking about. This is the doctrine part. This is the part that we still have to fight. So again, I'll let you guys listen to the general with his own words.
We've killed bin Laden, right? We killed a lot of members of Al-Qaeda, and yet ISIS is created, and ISIS is all, is in like 25 countries around the world. With the Israelis killed many leaders in Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Remember the beeper operation, right, where they blew off the heads of a whole bunch of Lebanese, like the top 40 guys. Yet the Hezbollah is still flying drones and shooting rockets into Israel. So There is a doctrine or a leadership that these guys have created because they've been doing this for 40 years. They've been doing this for 2 generations. Iran is no different. So even though we killed the Ayatollah and we, destroyed their navy, we destroyed this, we destroyed that, we done all these things, they have a doctrine. It's actually a very effective doctrine that the Iranian military has, and actually the Iranian government has, and it's a doctrine that's very decentralized, and that's what we're seeing. So the fact that they are still in charge of their country, and the fact that they are still dictating terms at a peace table should tell us everything.
And it does. $2 Rumble coming in, or Rumble rant, I'm sorry, coming in from FTW 1976. Expose the hive mind equals buzz. Caught, expose. Now fly away, bad actors. Land of milk and honey, fun to watch. Go Alpha Warrior. I agree with you that. Let me see if any super chats came in over there. And we do have one. Let me throw this on the screen for you guys to see. Throwing the thumbs up with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Much love. Seriously, you guys, no one owns this show, so it's funded by you guys and sponsors. So I appreciate that. Grandpa's free device. Kash Patel. Arrests are coming. We already indicted James Comey. We've uncovered hidden rooms, restricted files, and prohibited case files the FBI tried to bury. We now have everything we need. They attacked President Trump and tried to rig our elections. This ends on my watch. Working with AG Todd Blanche of the DOJ, arrests are coming, and it's coming soon. These are the words of the song that we've been wanting these people to rap to us for so long. I'm telling you, this is game time, folks.
I lived through it, and the media came at me then, too. That just shows you that when you're over the target, you keep pummeling the target because the media is going to try and pummel you. We are not going to take this and have not taken this laying down. We did already indict former Director Comey, and that's going through the judicial process. But we also, at this FBI, even though we uncovered what we uncovered back in the House Intel days, I had to come in here and find rooms that they hid from the world. I had to come in here and find access on our computer systems in restricted and prohibited case files that they purposely put in places for no one to see and find. We have found all this information. We are working with our Department of Justice partners, and I am never going to let this go because they not only have personally attacked the presidency of the United States and President Trump, but they tried to thwart our elections and rig the entire system. And that is not something that is going to stop. That is not something I'm going to allow on my watch. Right. But you just have to remember, they built this disease temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests. And it's coming, and I promise you, it's coming soon.
Well, Kash, hold on, because when you started this interview, you said, Maria, you and I have been working together for a long time, and this is exactly what you were referring to. You were on my show repeatedly talking about the Russia collusion story, and our audience wants to know why there's never any accountability. But specifically, the question that I asked you was about election integrity and whether or not you have any information to verify what President Trump says all the time, which is the election was rigged.
Oh, it is so game time, folks. We got a big audience watching on YouTube right now, over 1,100 people watching on YouTube. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to my assessment of things that are going on. And if you appreciate this, you could do me a solid and smash that thumb over there on YouTube. I definitely appreciate it. And then if you really like it, hit subscribe. The content is free. And then again, we almost have 2,000 people watching on Rumble. If you guys want to do me a solid, hit that thumb. I'd appreciate it as well. Ultra Maga, we'll bring it back to him. So General Flynn, you know nothing about QAnon, but I bet you know something about Q. General Flynn's post says, since an arrest warrant has been issued for Comey, I like to be the arresting officer, and has a timestamp of 6:09 p.m., 1809 military time. So finally, Flynn comes clean and tells us, without telling us, that he's part of the Q team with this timestamp of 1809. What's he mean? Well, when we go to Q post 1809, pick sealed indictments, 10/30/17 through 7/31/18 from research team. A couple of names that are thrown in there. This is followed by a list of a number of sealed indictments state by state, with the Comey indictment and arrest coming, and with Brennan's indictment on deck. General Flynn is letting us know more indictments are coming and arrests are to follow. Let the unsealing begin. Let's take a look at this first image. And there you go for the timestamp. We come over here to see all the sealed indictments during that time frame. And of course, this comes from the original post that we're looking at right there. So I definitely like Seventh Dean and their take on this. And I was thinking about this, and then when I saw 17 had put it out there, I was just like, all right, when I'm not the only one that's thinking this, maybe there's a there. And this one added up pretty nice. Holder puts, never underestimate Space Force. They are the guardians of intelligence. So again, you have Kash Patel that comes out and says, we got to find these hidden rooms, which I think that's absolute comedy. So where did this information really come from? Because we know the FBI, we know the deep state tried to destroy it. We know they did. We know this is why you had Kevin Spacey and all these other ones that, we allege that they are probably implicated in these Epstein files. Why were they all screaming for these investigations? Because they knew they had left the compromised one behind. So when Kash and these guys are kind of Bonino, when he was still there, come out and say, well, we found these hidden rooms and these burn bags. Who really found that stuff? I don't know. Maybe it was these guys.
Graphs made from Space Force, we were responsible for Space Force. We needed Space Force. We were being killed in space by China, by Russia. In my first term, I created Space Force. First time in 79 years that we did a new division, a new grouping, because you had the Marines, the Army, Navy, the Marines. We had the Coast Guard. We have all of the different branches of government, the Air Force, and they thought the Air Force and the Space Force would stay together, but the Air Force wants the Air Force. They're not going to give, and space is so important now, and we did Space Force, and all of those things, many of those things that you're saying is because of Space Force, and now Space Force we were losing badly in space to Russia and China militarily. Now we're way in the lead, way in the lead. We have the greatest space capacity of any country in the world. So we're very proud of that. We need it. We need it for protection because it's a nasty world out there. We need it for protection. So we're very proud of Space Force, but they, among other things, they give you beautiful satellite pictures of what's happening in the world. And
he's dropping some gems right there. Space Force definitely has its role, but if you guys are also aware, these guys are definitely involved when it comes to intelligence. They are the guardians of intelligence, as Holder would say. We have a couple Rumble rants that came in, so let's give some love to these people that are taking care of us. Dollar for dollar ZBM. People don't steal something unless it has value. You should make that a clip, Alpha. There's a reason why they're trying to discourage us from voting, and it's because as one of the easiest ways we'll beat them. It definitely exposes the fraud. You guys can, I'm not gonna, I don't want to get into that conversation, but it'll take us off the rails. $5 coming in from FTW 1976. Glenn and Benny at odds. It's strange, or it just checks out. All public info conflicts need discernment. Musical term. Dissonance causes moment. Now apply that to this awakening. Hindsight 2020. Huh. And then $10 coming in from our Broadway. Tell YouTube Rumble audience, challenge them to the like and share. We also challenge them to money rants. I love that. Listen, YouTube, the Rumble's calling you guys out. Can you smash the thumb more than Rumble does? Rumble's got a lead on you. Not gonna lie. But yes, the challenge has been made. Let's keep going. Trump comes out. This comes from Julie Donuts. Another great profile. If you guys are not following, make sure you are. I do a lot of things that are impossible to do, like becoming president 3 times. He has just been pissing people off with this one.
Do a lot of things that are impossible to do, like becoming president 3 times, like winning 3 races, Anyway, so we have the lowest prices anywhere.
The people are going to go down for election fraud, folks. When he says, I won 3 races, what does that translate into? Think back to, because a lot of times we think Trump's just trolling, and he is trolling, but people make the mistake of think he's just trolling. And I want to remind you guys, go all the way back to 2016, 2017. What was he doing that was the main trolling, probably one of the most important trolling things that he's ever done in his presidency? Fake news, fake news, fake news. He delegitimized the media, the Mockingbird media, the most powerful tool that the globalist deep state had to keep everybody plugged into the matrix. So when he delegitimized that, he opened the pathway for citizen journalism, the boards, and other things. So just understand that when he trolls, there's also a purpose. There's also information that's being communicated. So when he tells us here in the troll, I've won 3 presidencies, what he's telling you is we already have the information. We have the evidence that the 2020 election, we won it, and there's evidence to support it, which means people are going to be held accountable. To go back to what Maria Bonino was telling Kash, my audience wants to know. You guys want to know. I want to know. And what Trump is telling us when he says this, they have the evidence that proves he won 2020, which means people are going to go down for what happened. $5 coming in from Reaper Heart 29. Love you, Alpha, but this old timer needs to catch some Z's. I'm tired with it. I'm tired, and thank you for joining us. The replay will be here for you tomorrow. Do me a solid, share it on your way out. And then $5 coming in from his kids. I really appreciate all of your research. God bless you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you as well. Keep going on. Bringing it back to MJ Truth Ultra. Buckle up. Sean Hannity says John Solomon has informed them that there are 4 more Crossfire Hurricane high-level revelations that will be breaking soon. Drip, drip, flood. Take a listen to this. It's only about 8 seconds.
I'm going to follow up more. John Solomon says there's 4 more Crossfire Hurricanes. You probably know way more about it than I do, and he's beginning to break it, and it will break soon.
Now, this is coming from Sean Hannity. Now, if I would have told you guys 3 years ago that a main voice in the media world would have said this, and I gave you the choices between Tucker and Hannity, all of you, including myself, would have said, yeah, it's probably something Tucker would say. But we see where we're at right now with Tucker. And I know I'm going to get some pushback from the audiences, and that's okay. Not everything is a role. Some people are exposed, folks. So this brings me to this next post. The deep state planted Tucker Carlson to rug pull the good guys, and the good guys planted Sean Hannity to rug pull the bad guys. This chess game is wild. This post pissed off so many of my friends. Probably going to piss some of you off right now that are watching. I'm going to get some nasty messages. Sean Hannity's a CIA shill. Well, hold on. If you see what Tucker's saying right now, and you say, oh, he's playing a role. Well, why can't you use that same formula to say that when Sean Hannity was doing everything that he was and taking the very mainstream Mockingbird approach that we all thought he had, why don't we say he was playing a role then? This is what I'm saying is separate yourself from being emotionally attached to the characters and make yourself attached to the information. Because at that point, it doesn't matter if they're playing a role or not. It doesn't matter if they're a good guy or a bad guy. If you're judging them by their fruits, which is their words and their actions, you are going to be accurate, folks. If you worry about who's playing a role and, well, if they're saying this, but they're playing a role, maybe they really mean this. If you do that and you're not investing as much time that it's needed to really zoom out on this digital battlefield, it's going to get confusing and you're going to make errors. And so understanding the same way bad guys plant people to push an agenda or a narrative, the good guys are going to do it too, which means look at their fruits. And it looked like we had a super chat come in right here. So it looks like a challenge was accepted. Let's throw this up on the screen. Samuel Turner, $99.57, $10. Good luck on your podcast. And I enjoy you on Savage Nation. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You guys got me fired up tonight. So again, folks, very interesting. We're closing out the show tonight with the Tucker Carlson segment. It's very short, but I'm going to show you something that a lot of you probably haven't seen, and it's going to make you go, "Wait, what? Tucker said this?" And he said it more than once. So you'll see. We're not too far from that, folks. Patrick Webb puts out breaking. Former FBI Director Dan Bongino says He intentionally spread false information to identify snakes within the agency he believed were leaking to the media. Now, people got pissed that Bonino did this. Now, you guys aren't shocked. And why aren't you guys shocked? Because I've said it on this podcast. I've said it on other podcasts that I've been on. Leak operations. If these guys are going to have operational security, there's got to be leak operations. And I'm telling you guys right now, some of that intel and some of the lies that he shared made it to certain people who gave me that information, and I didn't run with it because I knew it didn't add up to what I was seeing. It didn't fit into the pattern. And so I didn't share it. I shared it in private, with some people that I had, but I didn't go public with it. And the reason I didn't go public with it because I did not assess it to be accurate. And I told people to use caution before they went public with it. Some people chose to. Again, leak operations. And again, this is why we've been accurate, folks. And they're not done. So then we bring it to this. Trump on Truth Social. This was on May 1st. He puts, I have all the cards. Got the 6 wild cards right there. What's he trying to communicate to us? Well, if we look at Trump card, we get 2 posts. 2936. At what stage in the game do you play the Trump card? And then we get post 1201. Trump card place. Nice work, Q. Trump card coming. And I think what we're seeing here is Trump card coming. And I think we're going to see that very soon. And again, 6 cards. So are we looking at 5 more indictments? Because Comey's one of those cards. You could argue Bolton could probably be considered in that equation. So what that leaves us 4, maybe 5, right? Ouchie Fauci, Brennan, Lisa Page, Peter Schrock, Schumer, Schiff. There's some definite potentials. I know absolutely one of those is Brennan. But let me know down in the comments who you think those cards are. We know Comey's spoken for. We know Bolton's spoken for. Do you agree with me on Brennan? And if so, who do you think the other 3 are? I'm very curious to what you guys think. But he is going to drop waste on these people. With that, folks, let me take a quick moment to read one of our Rumble ads. It will populate. Actually, let me go full screen with me just to make it easier for you guys when you take those screenshots. Again, if you don't see the QR code on the screen right now, that's because it's over here on Rumble. All right, parents, real talk for a second. America is about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday, 250 years of freedom, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters. Not just the fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday, and it's honestly a great way to introduce kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, what they risked, and why the ideas they fought for still matter today. The guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well that they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in a way kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into boring schoolwork. If you care about raising kids who know what this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, it's completely free with this special offer. You just need to pay for $2 for shipping and postage. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com. And the Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday for your kids today. America's story matters. Make sure the next generation knows it. And when you go to that website, you will see some very cool brochures that are there. And again, make sure that you read the fine print because there were some people who told me they gave me another one in charge. So make sure that you discontinue it if you don't want to get those follow-up books and brochures that they send you guys. And with that, let's get into our next one. Holy crap. A long-awaited fuse has been lit and a political bomb is about to go off. Senator Chuck Grassley resurrects old FBI investigation into the Clinton Foundation, donations, and the Russia Uranium One deal. This is a big one, folks. Q was right, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. But first, context. Uranium One was a Canadian mining company that, through acquisitions, including Eurasia Energy, co-founded by Major Clinton Foundation donor Frank Ustra, controlled significant U.S. uranium assets, roughly 20% of U.S. uranium production capacity at the same time, mines in Wyoming, Utah, etc. Between 2009 and 2013, Russia's state-owned nuclear giant Rosatom, via its subsidiary ARMS, gradually acquired majority, then full control of Uranium One in stages. Because this involved U.S. critical minerals, it's required unanimous approval from the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, an interagency panel of 9+ cabinet-level member departments, including state, then led by Hillary Clinton, Treasury, Defense, etc. CFS approved it in 2010. President Obama signed off. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission followed. Frank G., Canadian mining magnate and Clinton Foundation donor, in 2005, he and Bill Clinton traveled to Kazakhstan, a uranium-rich nation. Shortly after, G's Eurasia secured major Kazakh uranium concessions. G later merged Eurasia into Uranium One, retaining stakes, and donated tens of millions to the Clinton Foundation and pledged $100 million. Ian Telfer, Uranium One chairman, post-merger, and my apologies, I just realized I didn't put it back on the screen for you guys to see. Ian Telfer, Uranium One chairman, post-merger, his family foundation donated $2.35 million to the Clinton Foundation, often routed through a Canadian entity. Bill Clinton, who also received big money from various foreign entities, but we won't go there. Hugh repeatedly emphasized Uranium One as a cornerstone example of the Clinton corruption and the pay-to-play treason for personal gain. U1, sale of U.S. uranium to Russia, sold out U.S. and risked U.S. national security for personal financial gain. This was framed as a bigger plot to kill the United States from within, selling secrets, SAPs, aid, etc. But it was more than selling of uranium, crimes against humanity. Dems attacked on Trump, Ukraine, or projection for their own Russia Uranium One deals, closed financial systems, China, Russia, Iran as the common denominator. Q drops treat U1 as proof the deep state protected the Clintons while weaponizing agencies elsewhere. Grassley's document directly validates the existence of the 2016 FBI and unfinished investigative threads that Q claimed were buried, but will rock the political landscape once revealed. Think 30 bombs, think the sum of all fears, think World War III, think 16-year plan to destroy America. Uranium One is back in the news. A massive boomerang is coming sauce. And this comes from Grassley. Again, you see it right there, Uranium One. Then you see the Department of Transaction Parties. Folks, this is a huge deal. Now, I don't want people to panic. Like I said, this is not a... Sorry, my lips got dry. I got to put some chapstick on them. It's not a fear podcast. Do I think that the deep state pre-positioned dirty bombs or nuclear weapons in places of our countries and strategic allies as a way to leverage control over Trump or any other president that would have tried to take them on? Absolutely. I believe that to be a fact. I also believe absolutely that Trump and them have secured that uranium already. And I don't think the deep state knows it. And I think Trump is going to allow them to think that they're going to get the sum of all fears that they think that they have. They're holding that trigger and they're like this. And that when they go like this and nothing happens, it's going to all be documented and exposed for the world to see. That's my assessment. I can't say that I know that definitively, but that is absolutely what I think is the case. Specifically to this conversation surrounding the Clintons, Uranium One, and the dirty bombs that are out there. And there is significant intel to suggest dirty bombs have been brought into this country. Julie Donuts puts drip, drip, flood, the Clinton Foundation. Oh, how they will go. This is the start. What a day. And again, Kyle Becker, the floodgates are opening. And this is, what MJ was talking about as well. Senator Chuck Grassley has released a letter to the DOJ and FBI along with the internal records related to the Clinton Foundation and the Uranium One deal. They're going to be pissed. Let's shift topics here. HealthBot puts, Dr. Ben Carlson insists we must not allow the lies of the COVID era to be swept under the rug. This is going to take us into the Ouchie Fauci section, folks. You have wanted to see this man held accountable, and I think we are going to see that. I think we are going to see that within a few days. If my math is correct, I think, and again, I'm not someone who is, I'm not worried about the statute of limitations because of RICO, but if you're someone who is working strictly off that, I think we're down to 5 days, 6 days before the statute of limitations is up on him. But again, let's take a listen.
You know, for several years, we've had to put up also with a lot of lies and obfuscations that really have disrupted public trust. And of course, I think of COVID. You know, here we have a situation where Dr. Fauci et al. Said, don't need to wear a mask. Then, well, you do need to wear a mask. Maybe you need to wear 2 masks. Or a mask made out, but eventually admitting that there was no science behind any of what he was saying, and telling people that, you know, if you get the shot, you can't transmit the disease. There are no real side effects, where, of course, we know that the side effects from COVID vaccinations far exceeded anything else in the last 30 years combined. We haven't been truthful about that. It's important for us to lend our voices to that, and not to just let it be swept under the rug, as is the case in so many cases. And then I think we need to educate people.
So again, not going to be swept under the rug. Ben Carson does have a lot of people, especially in the normie world, that listen to him, so it's going to get brought to their attention. Now, let's go to an old video. Laura Logan puts this out. Fauci did it first with HIV, then with COVID. He knew exactly what he was doing, crimes against humanity. This one's going to piss you off.
Starting to see, as we're seeing virtually as the months go by, other groups that can be involved, and seeing it in children is really quite disturbing.
When you say other close contact, give me some examples.
Well, for example, if the close contact of a child is a household contact, perhaps there will be a certain number of cases of individual who are just living with and in close contact with someone with AIDS or at risk of AIDS, who does not necessarily have to have intimate sexual contact or share a needle, but just the ordinary close contact that one sees in normal interpersonal.
These people, this guy, these evil beyond measure. If you've ever seen any of the shows that I've done with Dr. Judy Mikovits, I mean, it's very clear, you know, she does not hold back on her punches when she talks about exposing these people and what they knew, what they were dealing with. Where does this bring us to? U.S. Department of Justice, former senior NIAID official indicted for concealing federal records during COVID-19 pandemic. These allegations represent a profound abuse of trust at a time when the American people needed it most. During the height of a global pandemic, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. As alleged in the indictment, Dr. Morans and his co-conspirators deliberately concealed information and falsified records in an effort to suppress alternative theories regarding the origins of COVID-19. Government officials have a solemn duty to provide honest, well-grounded facts and advice in service of public interest, not to advance their own personal ideological agendas. FBI Director Kash Patel chimes in. Weaponization of the United States government by its senior members in a time of global pandemic who were entrusted to protect us, they violated that trust, and the law destroyed records the public had every right to see. They covered it up, and they got caught by this FBI and the Justice Department. Take a listen to this.
Former top advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci now facing criminal charges. This over an alleged cover-up involving research into the origins of COVID. Rich Edson on this story. Intriguing, Rich. What you find out there in Washington?
Now, it is, Bill. The Justice Department has charged David Morins, a doctor, with conspiracy, claiming he concealed federal records to counter evidence that COVID-19 may have leaked from a lab in China, all to help restore a controversial coronavirus grant. Morins, a former aide to Dr. Anthony Fauci, testified before the House's COVID Select Subcommittee nearly 2 years ago about emails he'd sent in February 2021, claiming that he'd learned to make emails disappear after he received Freedom of Information Act requests.
Ever delete or attempt to delete a federal record?
No, but let me explain why. When I came there in 1998, we were instructed to delete emails or to move them into PST files frequently because they jammed the computer.
The Justice Department says Morins used his personal Gmail account to exchange non-public information. The indictment also claims an unnamed co-conspirator gave Morins wine for his, quote, behind-the-scenes shenanigans, then suggested he could push scientific commentary in a prominent medical journal advocating that COVID-19 had natural origins. That's a competing claim with the lab leak theory. The indictment says the co-conspirator could also provide meals at top restaurants in Paris, New York, and Washington, D.C. In April 2020, the NIH terminated that back coronavirus grant awarded to EcoHealth Alliance, who then contracted the Wuhan Institute of Virology to conduct that research in China. From the start of the pandemic, its president, Peter Daszak, worked to discredit any theory that COVID-19 had leaked from that lab.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rich. More to come. Rich Edson on that story from Washington, D.C. Thank you.
This is the guy that is going to bury Fauci. I hope that they got this dude under guard. The best of the best to protect this dude. This dude is going to bury Fauci. And then Fauci is going to bury every single person that signed off on what he was doing. Let's catch up on some of these Rumble rants real quick, and we'll fly through this show, folks, I promise. $5 coming in from FTW 1976, double and triple agent podcast, infiltration everywhere. We all need to calm down. Like you say, leak ops. Have faith, everyone. It all has purpose. God bless you all. Thanks, AW. Appreciate that. 100%. Stay calm. Dollar for dollar, ZBM. In an age of few heroes, he was the genuine article, but he was more than a hero. He was a symbol of so many. He was a symbol of so many qualities and made America great. President Carter on John Wayne. Love the man, John Wayne. $3 coming in from G Fontes 119. 6 swing states, 6 separate conspiracy RICO cases, somehow a 6-year term or 6 more years of his presidency. All the preceding. I like that, G Fontes. I like that a lot. Dollar for dollar, ZBM. Oops, he was a symbol of so many of the qualities that made America great. Thank you for that. And then dollar from Flo. God bless you, sir. I work 16, 18 hours a day driving, and I have troubles keeping up with you. You are on my Bluetooth. You are a true patriot. Well, Flo, stay safe out there. And when you need to pull over and rest, you pull over and rest. $5 from FTW 1976. Uranium One will bring them all down, no matter the denial, and justify the military operation. The deep state's biggest fear. It's the most dangerously ignored fact that threatens all. And now they are all being held accountable. Yes, they are. Which brings us to this. Wall Street Apes puts filmmaker and director of the Plandemic documentary series, Mickey Willis, says that after all the research he's done, he believes COVID was forced to be released earlier than they wanted, and that is what saved us. Now, for those of you that are new, you've probably never heard this, but for those of you that have been following me since the beginning, when I started the podcast in 2021, you know this is a theory that I came out with and people called me crazy, and I've stood by it ever since. What was Operation Warp Speed really about? Now, before I recap it, I just want you guys to hear what Mickey Willis has to say about it, and then I'll come back in and add to this.
I believe in what we've deduced from all of our research, particularly after the release of Plandemic 1 in 2020, was that this was planned, and the Epstein files have proven that, but it wasn't supposed to happen yet. It wasn't supposed to happen in 2020. They pulled the trigger in 2020 because every effort to stop Trump, every Russia, every impeachment thing was failing. And so they pushed it forward. This was a plan, but maybe it was supposed to happen around now. Yeah. The saving grace for us all, Russell, was that all of their plan wasn't in place. So we have outliers now. We have states within our own country. They hadn't yet been able to install their own leadership, so they didn't play the game. We're able to look at the data and say, well, why is it that the Dakotas did so much better? They didn't clamp down. Their economy's better. They gave their citizens a choice, whether you want to wear a mask or not. That's the problem when they don't have the centralization totally intact, because then you get these outliers that become the case study for us to look at and go, well, hold on a second. Why do we have less deaths there for, a country that was 3% vaccinated? We can look at that now as a case study. And so their need to perform all these regime changes where everybody is under the same control, the same centralized control, is because they need the consistent, omnipresent participation of everyone. Then they can say, if we didn't have those outliers, a lot of us would believe COVID was successful. The warp speed was amazing. The vaccine worked. How many of us would be dead without that? But we only know that it failed, that it was a terrible, terrible crime against humanity because we have outliers that weren't centralized yet.
A lot of people still live in the reality, the managed and fabricated reality that you're describing, where wasn't warp speed a success, and thank God that those brilliant scientists were able to engineer those vaccines, and what a genius Anthony Fauci.
So, and one, I agree with this because this is what I was saying. The vaccines were never supposed to be at the front end of this. The vaccines were going to come at the tail end of Hillary Clinton's presidency, the last couple of years of her second term. That's where this was supposed to be happening, because it was going to. We were going to be in a famine crisis, a logistics crisis, an economic crisis. That was going to be the cherry on top. Was then all of a sudden we're going to see this pandemic that spread throughout the entire world. When Trump came out and he forced them to deploy this weapon system, this bioweapon COVID jab, they weren't ready for it yet. And that's why, and trust me, folks, I have lost family to it too. And I don't say this without, hurting my heart for what we lost people. And that's the unfortunate part of being at a war. But at the same time, understand that this is the difficult decisions that lay in front of our president. He knew putting it at the front end, people were still going to be hurt. Life was still going to be lost, but he was going to exponentially cut it down. And we saw that. And so when you see Mickey Willis come out and start to explain this part, I agree with him completely. And the reason I wanted to touch on that, and shout out to Blue Eyes who rated the stream. Thank you. It is so good to see you. And I hope you are doing well, Blue Eyes. So why is that important? Because that formula is the same formula that has been used in the Middle East with Iran. Trump forced them into it earlier than they wanted. They have a timeline of how all this was supposed to unpack and so Sun Tzu, Trump talks about how many times he's read that book. And what is one of the things that the art of war teaches us, right? Is you never step onto the enemy's battlefield. And you never get into a battle unless you already know you're going to win. And Trump did what? He forced the battlefield to be on his timeline, his way. Why? Because he knew he would win. So that same concept, that same battle strategy that he used by forcing them to deploy these bioweapons early, the same thing that he's doing now. Don't want to spend too much more time on that. I just want to say absolutely agree with Mickey Willis on this one. Shout out to Penn W, $5 Rumble Rant coming over there. Thanks, Alpha. Always love your information. God bless you and your family. Thank you. Much appreciate that, Penn. So let's go. This is going to bring us into our next topic. U.S. Attorney Piero. Today, we are releasing video already provided to the U.S. District Court showing Cole Allen shoot a U.S. Secret Service officer during his attempt to assassinate the president at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There is no evidence the shooting was a result of friendly fire. The video shows Allen casing the area in the Hilton Hotel the day before the attack. My office, along with the FBI, will continue this extensive investigation to bring Cole Allen to justice. I'm not going to play the entire 5 minutes, but I'll zoom through this real quick so you can just kind of see him, speed walking through here, casing the area. He'll end up coming back 3 minutes later. Then you're going to see him come over here. Then we're going to get into this event here. And this is where I'll let this play out real quick so you guys can see it. This is the good CCTV video. This is not the AI one that was out there. You see him walk into that room over there. You see a handler with the canine going there. Yes, I will comment to that because so many of you have asked me about that particular thing because I was a canine handler for explosives, which includes ammunition. And then you see right there, oops, where he points the right when he goes to the metal detector, he takes that shot at the agent. But again, I hold to my original assessment that these guys' reaction time was phenomenal. Now to go back over here, let me go full screen to make this a little bit bigger. On the top left up here, I'm going to rewind it just a little bit, and you're going to see as Cole Allen walks in that room, you're going to see where the circle is. You're going to see the dog follow in behind him, go in there, and then the handler's right there, and then the handler and the dog comes out. Now, here's the thing, folks, is the dog, the canine, has definitely showed interest, right? And I'm going to try to be very fair on Monday Night Quarterbacking this, right? Because there's something very critical that we can't see right now, and it's the dog. So the dog shows interest, follows this guy in there. However, for any of you that have ever handled canines, when you're working and you've been working with all these people and the canine already, this is all familiar scent. And so when a new person walks in, it is not uncommon for a dog to kind of go with the person, and then a dog will come off on his own. It's just what they do, right? And there's a whole dynamic portion of, you know, dogs on movement versus dogs that are static. And I don't know which dog this one is. I'm assuming dynamic because of the way he's following in. But it's that, again, that's an assumption. But what I do notice here is the tension on the handler's leash. It looks like a fully drawn out leash. So is the dog trying to pull the handler to continue to allow him to check this suspect? Could be. I don't know. Me looking at the tension on that leash, I would be like, it feels like, you know, or I'm sorry, it appears to be like the dog is trying to continue on and the handler stopped, and this is why you see that tension. But you also see immediately the dog kind of come out right there. And so, you know, as a handler, you know your dog. And, you know, I would say I would definitely, Monday Night Quarterbacking, saying this dog is definitely alerted to something. And he probably should have, given the circumstances that this is the president, and I have done details for former presidencies with canines, and we saw how this unfolded, you know. And the other thing too is, what was Cole doing? Was he going into a closet there? Was he going into a drawer? Obviously, there was a weapon system that he was going in there to grab. You know, there's a lot there. But again, I do notice what's going on with the canine handler and his dog. My thing is, definitely looks like the dog alerted to something. Now, did the dog commit to it? I don't know, because we don't get to see that. And was that dog error? Was that handler error? Based on what we see, I would probably say that the handler probably jacked this one up. But again, I feel very unfair not knowing what's on the other side of that wall with the dog. But there's that. The other thing that I want to address, and then we'll push on, Sun Tzu put this out there, and he wasn't the only one. I saw quite a few people talk about this in Spaces 2. Question: if this is a shotgun, why does it appear to have a scope? Is this a scope? And I'll make this picture a little bit bigger for you guys to see. And then you go right here. And then you go right here. And from the angle, he says, hey, this looks like a scope. And a lot of people, because like I said, Sun Tzu's not the only one. Again, my assessment of this is it's not a scope. And looking at the way the rifle's positioned, when you look right here, that part that we're talking about is not on top of the rifle. It's on the side of the rifle, or the shotgun, I'm sorry. And for those of you that have shot shotguns, this is very consistent with what we would see on a side saddle. And so, again, go back to here so you can see, because you can clearly see the top of the shotgun. You can clearly see this is not the side of the barrel or the side of the shotgun, because of the position of his hand. His hand's already on that grip, and his hand's already here on the bottom part of what we would consider either the pump or the foreguard. And so we know that this top part that's shiny is the top of the shotgun, and this part in question is on the side. And so my assessment is that what we're looking at there is a side saddle. Again, not going to say that I am 100% accurate, but I would definitely say that I am 99% certain that that might be the case. Let's see. We got $2 rumble rant coming in from FTW 1976. I agree with your WS explanation. Deep state off kilter was the best way to change the energy. Thank you for that, FTW. And then we got $10 coming in from Tia Marie Love 333, tagging at Carmen 79. Alfina, I got this baby crying in my ear. I'm tired. Don't you guys be coming into this professional environment with that Alfina stuff. I'll start banning people. I ain't gonna play. I'm just kidding. Shifting here, gears again. ICE, HSI, and the U.S. Marshal Service arrested Yechiel Yehoshua, if I said that correctly. I didn't mean to mispronounce it. I don't want to offend people. Farkash, a foreign fugitive from Israel who was wanted in his home nation for alleged sex crimes against children. Our team arrested him at his home in Lakewood, New Jersey. ICE HSI Atlantic City will coordinate with ICE Victim Assistance Program to conduct any additional interviews and identify other possible victims related to the case. And why is this important? Listen, there are a lot of people that come out and were pushing on a bunch of stories a few months ago, and they should have, where there was a Israeli official who got caught in a situation that was with, I don't remember if it was child trafficking or human trafficking. It was something that had to do with pedophilia. It was bad. And they let this guy flee back to Israel. And so it made all the headlines. And I'm glad it made the headlines because that needs to be addressed. But here's also the situation, because those people were saying, oh, it's because they control our government. Well, again, you got to, whether you like it or not, you got to report consistently and accurately. And here's a situation where Israel's wanting this guy who's alleged sex crimes to come on back. And so assess it how you will, but I was going to make sure to put that story out there. I know it's going to piss some people off, and that's okay. It'll create some thought. CIA contracting officers at the CIA don't just sign contracts. They help build the future of our nation. Join us to apply your negotiation skills and business acumen to support national security. Learn more at cia.gov/careers. Power the CIA Commission. Become a contracting officer. So, any of you that are looking for a different career, there you go. Power the CIA, folks. There's probably a lot more CIA around than we all want to admit. $10 coming in from Tia Marie Love 333. Alfina Osteen, we love you. Carmen and Emmy, great show. It sounds like they had a great space over there. I'll look forward to listening to the replay. Continuing on, the SCIF puts out MK Ultra hearing on May 13th. Will be conducted by the House Oversight Task Force per Rep. Anna Paulina Luna. This one's a big deal, folks. And here's my take on this. And this one, I won't say high confidence. I'm not gonna say low confidence either, but just kind of looking at everything that's coming out, whether it be with Charlie Kirk shooter or whether it be with the recent shooter at the correspondence dinner. And a lot of people say, well, this nation state's involved and that nation state's involved. And maybe we will see, evidence at some point to support that. But as it stands now, that evidence doesn't exist. It's all speculation. But does that mean the one thing I get hit up by people the most, oh, so you believe the FBI's theory on Tyler Robinson being the, only involved shooter? And I'm like, well, first of all, you're making assumptions. Do I believe Tyler Robinson is the guy that assassinated Charlie Kirk? Yes, I do. I've been very clear from that about day one. Do I believe that there was this formal operation where people were in a headquarters and monitoring with them and on phone with them and doing the logistics with them and all that? No, I don't. Do I believe that there was something in place to create the scenario where Tyler Robinson would do the shooting? Yes, I do. And I think it's the evolution of MK Ultra. And I think what we're seeing, and shout out to Becca BX over there on social media, who's been looking into groups like the Order of Nine Angles, looking into the 764 cult. These people have been taken down. If you watch the shows that I did with her, you'll be familiar to this. If you haven't, you absolutely should, especially if you're a parent. But what these people do is they go and they find certain kids that match a profile that they're looking for. on these forums, Discord, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden they start to leverage them into doing things. And then once they have this, they, whether it be send a photo or do something, then they start to escalate these things into self-mutilation, in some situations, even, unaliving themselves. I'm trying to be careful to keep it alive over there on YouTube. But what we're seeing now is between the ability to use big tech, and for those of you that don't know, that already came out, this was on Facebook, that they were out there trying to create people to be depressed in order to monitor it. So what you're seeing is between these groups of actual living people that are there creating this manipulation, between big tech using software to seed a certain mindset and having the digital footprint, because we know the access that the NSA, the CIA has into our social media, into the digital, file of our lives. You combine all that together and you can create a scenario that has little receipts and is very hard to prove even happen. And you can do that. That is literally the new MK Ultra. This is that cognitive dissonance that everybody's struggling with. You could literally walk people into a situation where the probability that somebody from this group is going to eventually try to do this crime against that person. Yeah, I see Indiana Toes put psychological warfare. That's a simple way of putting it. I don't know how great I did to articulate how that happens, because it is very confusing. But do I believe something like that has played into this? Absolutely. I think it played into Butler. I think it played into Charlie Kirk's assassination. I think it played into the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the golf course one. I absolutely think that these are how these things are actually unfolding. And so to bring it to this, and why I'm saying with at least some confidence that I think this timing is important, because I think what you're seeing here is, as this comes out, it makes MK Ultra real. It's no longer conspiracy theory. It's no longer just a tinfoil hat conversation, but it's something that the government's going to address. Anna Paulina is going to put these documents out, and people are going to have this conversation, which is then going to open the door. I think this is the gateway moment to open the door to where now we can see what has it evolved to. And what is that? Because trust me, there's an operation of what I'm talking about is real. And we're going to find out what the nickname of this operation is. And I think what we're going to see is it's the evolution of what was once MK Ultra. So hopefully I didn't confuse people too much. I might have confused myself a little bit. Kathy O'Brien, I'm going to get her on this show, folks. I promise. Everyone, please contact Rep. Luna that I'm ready to testify again, this time free of national security censorship. I've been speaking out for over 35 years on my proven MK Ultra mind control victimization on the White House Pentagon level. Again, this is Kathy O'Brien, and she will be on this show. And we will have a more in-depth conversation about what we talked about right now. But keep this woman in your prayers. And again, when you go to Anna Paulina's sites on social media, make sure you keep pushing her to have a conversation with Kathy O'Brien. Now, again, shifting gears, this takes us into this. Now, you saw over the last couple of years, especially, 2020 to 2025, how everything Trump, anything that somebody that was MAGA or America First did got blamed on Trump, and vice versa. Any position that MAGA or America First had, they blamed it on Trump. Well, now that things are coming around, I want you guys to listen to this conversation from JoJo, who's on the right, who I think is an absolute clown. I despise this woman. But they don't like being on the receiving end of these conversations now.
And try to kill people and allegedly try to kill people in Trump's cabinet?
Because the killer shared your post calling to nullify the result of the 2024 election. I have it right here on his archive account.
So she's responsible for the killing. So are you trying to attribute what happened? Are you Jack, be very fucking careful right now, asshole. Are you trying to insinuate, excuse me, if you are trying to draw a line between me and what happened
I'm not drawing a line. He drew the line.
Then what you just said is extremely irresponsible. So what?
He decided to take your words into action.
Okay, how many times have you retruthted? How many times have you shared Donald Trump's rhetoric?
Here's, I'm happy to send you this, by the way.
How many times
it's right
have
here,
you
November 13th,
retweeted something that Donald Trump said?
Okay, don't talk over each other.
He decided to nullify the election, just like you asked him to.
That was a hefty accusation that he just lobbied at me. I have
not an accusation. I have it right here.
That has nothing to do with me, Jack. You're trying to tie me to someone who allegedly tried to kill. Excuse me. So you're telling.
What's alleged about it?
These people are panicking. They now know that we are calling them out. You push this violent rhetoric. You go and you promote these people. You prop them up. And then when they come out and do these things, that's like, remember earlier in the show, those 2 women that got fired from their jobs because of the comment, because they learned this shit from people like JoJo from Jers. And now that she's being called out on it, because now we're seeing that people are being investigated and there's going to be arrests. And trust me, when these people, and maybe JoJo's one, maybe she's not, but when we find out that these funding organizations were tied into them, where it was the SPLC, whether it was USAID, whatever, the separation of shell companies is not going to protect them when that information starts to surface. And this is why they're paranoid. But again, she still reverts back to, well, you posted what Trump said. Trump has never posted anything illegal. And Trump's never called for violence. But her mindset still operates there, where it's okay to make that connection with Jack and Trump, but don't make that connection with her and the guy that went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner to try to kill the president or hurt people. That's their mindset. So now we're going to bring it into the last 2 conversations surrounding Comey. April 30th, 2020, Trump puts, dirty cop James Comey got caught. Now, why is that important? Well, if you're watching Q After Hours, you know why already. Because James Comey was arrested on April 29th of 2026, almost to the day, 6 years. Almost to the day, 6 years. Did Trump know something? Or just divine intervention? U.S. Department of Justice. Today, the federal grand jury indicts former FBI Director James Comey for threats to harm President Trump. Threatening the life of the President of the United States is a grave violation of our nation's laws, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. The grand jury returned an indictment alleging James Comey did just that at a time when this country has witnessed violent incitement followed by deadly actions against President Trump and other elected officials. The temperature needs to be turned down, and anyone who dials it up and threatens the life of the president will be held accountable. Yes, sir. Absolutely support that. Rapid Response 47. Today, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. Take a listen.
Today, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. The first count is that on or about May 15th of last year, he knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count 2, same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States. Both of these counts carry a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years. So I think it's fair to say that threatening the life of anybody is dangerous and potentially a crime. Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice.
And now let's take a listen to what Kash has to say about this.
As you heard from the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney, former FBI Director James Comey has now been indicted for 2 felony counts. While many of you may read this indictment and view this matter as a simple investigation, it is the farthest thing from that. Every single investigation this FBI and our partners at the Department of Justice undertake, especially those that involve the threats to harm or hurt or even kill individuals, whether they hold public office or civilians in our country, are met with the same measure of investigative prowess and tools and personnel in partnership with the Department of Justice as anyone else. As the U.S. Attorney indicated, James Comey will be afforded every matter of due process under the United States Constitution. And as the Attorney General indicated, this has been a case that's been investigated over the past 9, 10, 11 months. These cases take time. Our investigators work methodically. They are career agents, career prosecutors who work these matters. They call the balls and strikes in the field as they see fit pursuant to the facts of the case and the law. They took that information and made a presentment to a grand jury, a jury of peers in the district in which the alleged crime took place. And that grand jury spoke, and that grand jury returned a 2-count indictment against James Comey. James Comey allegedly threatened the life of the President of the United States. And as you all now know, shortly after posting that threat, he deleted that threat and then issued an apology. All of that information was presented to the grand jury, and Mr. Comey will have his day in court and his ability to speak to a jury of his peers. Thank you.
We all told people, but they didn't want to listen. Sun Tzu puts, the DOJ did not indict Comey solely on the basis of an arrangement of the seashells 8647. They indicted him based on what they likely found on his phone and other evidence which implicates him and shows that he intended to call for the assassination of President Trump. That evidence has not yet been revealed to the public. Now, I want to comment here, and I agree with Sun Tzu here, and we talked about this, but a lot of people... Yeah, you guys, if you guys watched Badlands Daily last Thursday morning, you saw me have this debate with CanCon, and he's not the only one. There's others that think that Comey posting the image of the seashells 8647, that in of itself was not enough to meet the threshold of an arrest or a conviction. I pushed back, absolutely not. And so I'll summarize that debate really quick for you guys, for those that didn't hear it, or maybe you agree. But yeah, 8647, why aren't these other people being arrested? I'm going to answer this for you. And it's because of the knowledge. The threat 8647, it's all over the media right now, but this is not an uncommon investigation in law enforcement, especially law enforcement with gangs. We get this stuff coast to coast. If you got a gang in your city, chances are there's already a cop that's investigated this and charged it. 86 Dopey or 187, Casper, whatever the case may be. And it's graffiti. Well, okay, but that's a gang member that went and posted it. Maybe Comey didn't create the seashells. He just took a picture of it. That's okay, because we have other gang members that'll take, a picture of a graffiti another gang member did with the same message and then post it to their social media, which is what Comey did. The argument here is the defense that Comey's going to make is the same defense that gang members make. That's not what it meant to me. The same argument that the prosecution makes in those cases that we did against gang members is the same argument that the prosecution is going to make here, in addition to all the other evidence that they had. And it's because you are a gang member, and because you are a gang member that has knowledge of these terms and associate with these people, you absolutely knows what that term means compared to the everyday, Joe Schmo that's out there. Well, with Comey, he's the director of the FBI, folks. For those of you that don't know, the FBI has gang teams with gang intelligence. Comey signs awards for law enforcement. I know there's one behind the green screen that has James Comey's signature on it for me. Not proud of who signed it, but I earned it. And for those that don't know or are new to the show, my background is in law enforcement for a decade and a half, where I work gangs. I'm an expert witness in gangs. I'm an expert witness in search warrants here in Southern California. Still am. Was still called to testify a few months ago in a gang case. Imagine that story, right? Another day, another story. But the point I'm trying to make is Comey is going to have records that show that he's absolutely aware of these terms. And how do we know? Because when these gang guys create these training environments or send people to these training environments, the director of the FBI is the one that gives the authorization for all this stuff to happen to begin with. So Comey's not going to have the excuse like the Krasensteins, who I think are absolute morons, but the Krasensteins posting 8647 is not going to have the same legal grounds and foundation that it does with Comey. So I hope you guys understand that. And it's a very easy thing to get a conviction on, even if there isn't more evidence, which obviously we know that there is. So like I said, it's a more in-depth conversation. You guys can go watch Badlands Daily last Thursday with me and CanCon if you want like all the details of my argument on that. But let's keep going on this because this is important. Nick sort of puts, breaking, the DOJ is now pushing to seize James Comey's profits from his crime book, as prosecutors believe part of the reason he posted a threat on President Trump's life was to drum up book sales. I agree with this. DOJ is going hard after this guy. The forfeiture action, including Comey's indictment, points out that Comey was posted the threat 5 days before his book release, which was May 20th, 2025. His IG shows that his 8647 post was surrounded by book promo posts. The indictment demands Comey forfeit to the United States any property, real, personal, which constitutes or derived from proceeds traceable to said offense. Keep pushing. And for those of you that don't know, part of that book deals with threats against the president. Imagine the coincidence of that shit. So let's keep going. James Comey never thought that this would come out. A little different topic, but still about Comey. Let me play this for you guys. Tell me I have this for you guys. I think I do. I'm going to feel bummed out if I don't. Yeah, here we go.
Infiltrate President Trump's first campaign by using 2 undercover agents in a so-called honeypot operation.
Incredible.
Todd Pyro joins us with details. Todd.
This is big. Under the leadership of new FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bonino, the Bureau has reportedly launched an investigation into the agency's plan to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign using 2 female undercover agents. The Washington Times reporting that the program was launched in 2015 by then FBI Director James Comey. The honeypot scheme was actually kept off the books, and according to a whistleblower, Comey's investigation was separate from Crossfire Hurricane. You, of course, know that as the FBI's operation that looked into allegations Trump's campaign colluded with Russia. A whistleblower disclosure says, quote, the case had no predicated foundation, so Comey personally directed the investigation without creating an official case file in Sentinel or any other FBI system. The FBI has multiple methods of protecting highly sensitive investigations, so Comey did not have a legitimate reason not to officially create an official investigation file or have a file number. FBI leaders are reportedly looking for those once undercover agents who are said to have infiltrated the Trump campaign at high levels. Back over to you.
This story is insane. Thank you so much, Todd. The whistleblower said that Comey personally directed it and using 2 female undercover agents as honeypots. They say it usually refers to an undercover operative who feigns sexual or romantic interest to obtain information on a target. So were these honeypots targeting Donald Trump? Were they targeting people on his team? Were they women that we were seeing on air all the time traveling with him?
If this is true, he's a dirty cop. And this is the same thing that is alleged that they did the same thing to Martin Luther King Jr. as well and recorded him to use as leverage. So the FBI, which was supposed to have reformed if this report is true, apparently never reformed at all.
Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover moved. James Comey always said he was above it all. And we know, soon we're going to find out if that is.
And were those honeypots used in the position of alt media? Dun, dun, dun. We will find out. Dude's in a lot of trouble. Because what else? The skiff puts John Brennan's and James Comey's handwritten notes of the planning and execution of the Russia collusion coup against a sitting president of the United States. It is right there, folks. If you guys want to, let me see if I can zoom in for you guys to see that a little bit better. No, it's not going to let me because of the way this is set up. But again, these guys are going down hard. It's all about who's going to snitch and who's going to snitch first. Eagle Wings puts Fox News bombshell Jesse Waters drops declassified docs. Obama knew the Russia hoax was fake, but pushed it anyway to sabotage Trump. We are going to take a listen to this. And I just want to remind you guys, think about all the people that were telling you, impeach impeach Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard's going to get fired. Tulsi Gabbard needs to resign. Tulsi Gabbard's compromised because she's the one that's running these RICO cases. They're the ones that she's the one that they all fear. So just keep that in mind as we listen to this.
Just got a peek inside Obama's black book, and it turns out Barack knew the Russia hoax was a hoax all along, but pushed it anyway to sabotage the Trump presidency. DNI Tulsi Gabbard declassifying pages and pages of documents showing Obama's intel guys briefed him just weeks after the 2016 election that the Russians didn't actually sway the election. Quote, we assessed that Russian and criminal actors did not impact the recent U.S. election results. Criminal activity also failed to reach the scale and sophistication necessary to change election outcomes. But Obama just couldn't accept that. So he and his staff instructed intel agencies to cook up new reports to support Russia collusion. Quote, after the meetings, Clapper's executive assistant emailed intelligence community leaders, tasking them to create a new intelligence community assessment per the president's request that detailed the tools Moscow used and actions it took to influence the 2016 election. Tulsi Gabbard described what she found as a conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people. And she says the people involved should be prosecuted and has made a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. We knew Hillary created the dossier, and now we have proof that Barack was calling the shots and the documents to prove it.
Folks, translation, Obama is not going to get away with this. All the black pillars are going to amplify their messaging because they got nothing left. Trump is going to bury the deep state, and we're getting into the first part of that going down with all these people starting to snitch and rat on each other. And they close up the Comey section. Ripcord, great account out there. Love the work that Ripcord puts out there. Comey arrested. We were told in the drops the order of events prior to the storm, and that Comey was prior to D-class. C before D. Buckle up. And there it is, folks. And how beautiful, how absolutely beautiful this is going to be. Now, we're going to get into the Candace section, which is going to lead us into, Candace crashes. That was part of, one of the main things that we have in the headline tonight, which is going to lead us into Tucker possess. This video by Bonino is long. It's about 8 minutes, but it's worth watching the whole thing. So I might let the whole thing run through, but we're at least going to watch half of this. So now we get into, if you're not aware, Candace is getting sued and she's doing the Michael Jackson to moonwalk back. So let's set up this last part of the show as we bring it on in, and we'll do it with Dan Bongino.
I'm going to tell you something. There are two people you need to be really cautious of, because I'm going to say something to you you really need to digest and tattoo on your brain. I'm going to hit it in the beginning of the show with a powerful message you need to hear. There are a lot of scumbags in this business. An unusual amount of scumbags. Problem is in this space is people like to talk, and they talk a lot about other people. And there's a lot of envy in this space. And people just don't like when other people succeed. But to allow that envy to overtake you and to imply at some point that someone like Erica Kirk, who lost her husband to an assassination caught on video with the world watched, to imply that Erica was somehow involved in this with some hidden knowledge you never actually disclosed. Folks, I can't imagine. I honestly don't know what to say. I don't. It's like I went through a kind of a personal tragedy not that long ago. And there are times I don't have the words really means. I just don't have the words. I don't know why you would do something like this. It can't just be envy. It can't just be, I'm a bad person. There's something there I just don't understand. Hat tip Milk Bar TV for this. This is just a compilation of the Candace Owens show and repeated implications that somehow this lovely, beautiful human being, Erica, who's always been there for me and a number of people in the movement, just like Charlie was, is somehow involved in the murder of her husband. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, candidly, I don't have the words, man. I just don't understand this. But I just want to show to you before I get to the response that we're not making this up. This is real. Check this out.
But I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of. Anyways, back at headquarters, I am told it's business as usual. And it's kind of giving me like, I don't know, LBJ when he gets sworn in that famous picture. Unfortunately, sworn in. Unfortunately, of course, he's sad in this photo. Gosh, he's obviously not wanting to be the president of the United States. JFK was shot and killed. And now LBJ has to step up, unfortunately. But I gotta be honest, I wasn't there. I don't think LBJ was actually that upset. I don't know why. Vibes. The vibes just aren't vibing for me in that picture. knowing, as I do and as Charlie did, believe that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds as having been involved, which then implicates the Dallas police station as being involved. I believe Israel was obviously involved, that they were the ones that wanted him dead. When Ben came out swinging, I was going, oh, something's very wrong here. Basically, Erica here is pulling the LBJ. And what I mean by that is as soon as LBJ got into office after JFK's assassination, he reversed course on every single one of JFK's policies. JFK's enemies seemingly became LBJ's friends. Erica appears to be doing that to me.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I love doing my show, and it's a talk show. You're supposed to talk. I don't know, man. I see you all have a lot of comments on the chat on this too. I was glad to see Erica, who's a real warrior, come out yesterday, and despite ongoing, not comprehensible, I can't comprehend the grief, I can't, what she's going through, come out yesterday with a very powerful response. And it's about a minute, but I want you to listen to every word of this. I feel an obligation to put this out there to help her correct this sick, deranged, demonic record. Listen to this.
In this culture we're living in, absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized through all of this, truly, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country.
Guys, ladies, we're in a really, really dark spot. Because you have a thought in your head and a platform, and that platform for Candace and others is substantial. Don't fake the funk on this and be like, oh, well, she's irrelevant. No, she's not. I was listening to some commentary by Jeremy Boring the other day, formerly, I don't think he's with the Daily Wire anymore, but he was on a show and he gave an accurate assessment. If you're telling yourself like, oh, well, her audience is shrinking. Her audience, folks, I'm in this space. I'm an investor in this space. I watch these numbers because it's in both a personal interest of mine for free speech and a professional interest, because this is where I've invested my life's assets, in free speech and spreading ideas and platforms to do so. Don't kid yourself like, oh, she has a small audience. She doesn't. Her audience is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, on the political commentary side. That is not true, that there's no audience there. No, it's shrinking from whatever, like sky high to, high, which is still really high. I know that because I see clowns and doomers. Justin and I were laughing about it this morning. They do that with our show. The doomers and the Jew haters are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Spotify. Our video's not on Spotify. We're exclusive to Rumble, you dipshits. So it doesn't matter. Again, don't over-explain. Every time we put out a podcast chart, hey, thanks for the support. Here's what you got, some moron like, well, go with another chart. Then we go with another chart. They do this to me. Don't do that. That's not true with them. Some of these people do have big audiences. People I sincerely disagree with. Hell, I've invested my money in giving people I disagree with an open platform to speak. But don't kid yourself. This is a significant sized tumor in the American body politic. And the best thing you can do is go out there and take it on like Erica bravely did yesterday. You can't ignore it. We have never run from it. We have never run from difficult questions. Some of these people were friends of mine. A couple of them are still friends, and I just don't agree. Folks, speak out.
a word that she said, and we talked about this last night on Q After Hours as well. I'm going to reference this book right here. I'll go big screen real quick, make it a little easier for you guys to see. Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. A little keck in there. You see it? But a section that I have bookmarked to bring it up. It's a section 3-3. And I'm going to adjust one of the words for our audience over there on YouTube, but you'll get what I'm saying. How to make people unalive people. And I'm going to show you guys the image here. So if you guys want to take a screenshot of it. And these phases are phase 1, polarization. Phase 2, tribalization. Phase 3, dehumanization. And phase 4, the unaliving part. So just understand whether Erica Kirk understands this strategy, and I think she does, or she doesn't. The fact that she recognizes the dehumanization part is very important because that has been going on. So we will fly through the rest of this now. Even Kilgore puts out Candace Owens. Let me state unequivocally that I do not believe that Erica Kirk murdered her husband. You got to hear it for yourself, folks, because it has not been. Just listen for yourself.
You think Erica killed her husband. Now, let me at first also state unequivocally that I do not believe that Erica Kirk murdered her husband. I've never made that claim in public. Sincerely, I've never made that claim. What I have said and what I stand by today is that her documented lies appear to me to be rising to a level of conspiracy and that she should be questioned. Okay? Her lack of interest in exploring possible other options, instantly forgiving him. Was there a foreign influence? She doesn't care. Not only that, but like her team is attacking Joe Kent for asking that question, right? Her lying about Dr. Lee Trotter's words. That is significant. You are never going to remove that from the story. Colluding with Andrew Colvett on an absurd Man of Steel statement and then flatly denying to my face that she did that. Throwing Andrew Colvett and Dr. Lee Trotter under the bus, okay? That's not normal. You're never going to make that normal. Donors literally telling me that she is lying about the audio clip that she presented at AmFest. The one that they now assert that they are never going to show us the video component regarding Charlie Kirk saying, Erica Kirk, I appoint my wife, Erica, to become the CEO. Donor saying that actually never went down. He never said that. It is plainly unacceptable that we have not yet received a response. They have not yet released the video to answer the claims being made by the donors that were in attendance. Release the video that you claim to have of Charlie naming you CEO. Don't be shy now, okay? People won't believe it. You took us into the casket. You had no concerns about what people believed or didn't believe. Now all of a sudden everyone's shy about a Charlie Kirk video. You're afraid people are going to think it's AI? Does that make sense to anybody? No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't make any sense. That's why they're angry. Now on that...
Again, recanting. Some of you guys, I see some in the chat still want to defend her. You saw the clip where she has said it and she's implied it and she's done both. Folks, she has not provided one receipt. And for those of you out there say, well, I'm suspicious of Erica Kirk, be suspicious. Being suspicious of Erica Kirk doesn't alleviate Candace Owens of her responsibility of implying or making allegations of people being involved in the assassination or the cover-up in assassination, which is what she's done. And I've offered people $100, $500, provide me evidence, not a link, not somebody providing commentary, provide me the link to evidence. And no one's done it because it doesn't exist. But for those of you that want to continue down that path, by all means, you have the right to do that. EO puts again, breaking, Brian Harple, former head of Charlie Kirk Security, has filed a defamation lawsuit against Candace Owens and Mitch Snow. More are certainly on the way. And if you are not aware, her downfall is self-imposed and she cannot come soon enough. Candace Owens has form rewriting, aka lying about claims and accusations she's made. Here's a handful of the past 6 months. Take a listen to this.
What about his burial? How come we haven't seen anything about his burial? We saw so much and then we saw nothing. And the reason that's like a big hush-hush secret is because Charlie had a Catholic funeral mass and he is buried in a Catholic cemetery.
But pre the meeting with Erica, you repeatedly questioned why we weren't being told where Charlie Kirk is buried, or even if he has been buried yet. Did you get those answers?
You have the wrong commentator who questioned that. I think that was Milo Yiannopoulos.
You've never asked where Charlie's buried?
Nope.
Yeah, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, yes.
It's just, I don't even know how to respond to it because it just never happened. Realizing that nothing in Charlie's life was real. It's just something that keeps me up at night. Just nothing in his life was real. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of. It's so crazy.
She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died.
Never happened. And it just so happened that Charlie Kirk kept notebooks and diaries. He was so diligent that he wrote down his succession plan featuring who he wanted to take over for the organization in the event of his untimely death. Like, he just, in the third notebook, he was like, oh, and if I accidentally get shot on campus, here's what you should do. Call Erica. And then after you call Erica, come find this notebook. And if during this process of our imagination, common sense comes on and we're like, but wait, Charlie, wasn't he like a boy genius? He's a pretty bright kid. Wouldn't he have maybe formalized that succession plan outside of like a diary? But no, he wanted to put it in these notebooks. And then the plan was to guilt us, I think, to try to haunt us with the ghost of Charlie's notebooks that we're never going to be allowed to read, but we're supposed to accept that they most definitely read. Like, for sure. Never happened. I knew it was big. I didn't have the players. I certainly didn't suspect Turning Point USA would be, as I believe, involved in a cover-up. And we can talk about what the motives are of that. They could be financial motives. It doesn't necessarily mean they were involved in plotting to kill him. And I've never said that. Cam Higbee is on the payroll of Turning Point USA beginning in August of this year. So in theory, Cam Higbee, who was laughing off the idea of an assassination attempt, is being paid by the very organization that just had its leader assassinated in broad daylight in front of the entire world. It doesn't necessarily mean they were involved in plotting to kill him. And I've never said that. I was in this aggrieved stage and I really didn't poke my head up until weeks later when I could stop crying about it every second. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. First, this is fantastic that Preborn is doing this. To remind you guys about Pure Talk. Also reminding you guys about American Financing. Also reminding you guys about GNO Land. Also telling you guys about Just Thrive. You can head over to our website, CandaceOwens.com. You can sign up, buy yourself a hat. I'm not going to stop unless Erica Kirk asks me to stop.
We were told that if we said stop, they would stop. And we said stop. And I'll say it again. Please stop.
Please stop. Please stop lying. But as soon as she tells me what it is I've lied about, I will cease lying immediately.
I mean, y'all, your eyes, your ears, your eyes and your ears. I mean, that's a devastating one to have. But this is a thing. She lies so damn much that she doesn't even remember. And part of the reason being is she doesn't care to remember. She really believes, and she's kind of accurate to a point, the majority of her audience is stupid. It's going to offend some people, but it is what it is. Andrew Colvette puts out, funny you said exactly that to my former employee, Audrey. Yes, Audrey took a screen grab of your chats and bragged about it to her friends. This is the big one. If you guys haven't seen it, let me see. Let me open this in a new tab so I can zoom in for you guys a little bit better. It says, Candace Owens, yes, in person. I assume she's coming to you. This is actually wild. and then Candace Owens. And she has apparently been preparing since yesterday morning, been preparing explanations for all the lies they have told. I assume if Colvette and her have any common sense, they see the online narrative and understand that their support is fading very rapidly. She is coming here. And yes, absurd. They need to prepare. Geez, that actually is crazy. I'm so intrigued to hear how this goes. I got your back. Go Max. I'm asking everything. First question, why did you murder your husband? But y'all just heard her say plenty of times right there that she's never made that accusation. Let's keep going. Graham Allen puts, Candace Owens is a liar. She spent weeks attacking Mikey McCoy, making him a target from her cult to where he could barely live his life. Now she expects us to believe that he was her leaker the whole time. I mean, this is literally how absolutely insane she is. Take a listen to Graham.
It was Mikey McCoy. Mikey McCoy got a message out to me via a third-party person that I should look more into Andrew Colvette.
Why did she spend weeks going after Mikey McCoy? Was it because she thought Mikey McCoy might have been in on it? Why would she do that if now she's dropping this bombshell that her leaker the entire time was Mikey McCoy? You expect us to believe that the guy that you spent weeks trying to destroy his life because you thought it was weird that he had a cell phone up to his ear? And why does the phone call matter unless you thought that he was in on it? That's the logical conclusion, right? So now you expect us to believe that he was your leaker? He's your bombshell leaker? And he got to you via a third party of a known liar and Scientologist lunatic named John Mappin. You expect us to be idiots? To quote you, Candace.
It's getting interesting. Got a couple of rumble rants. Let's get in here real quick and then we'll keep going. $2 coming in from FTW 1976. Whatever the storyline that has to play out, it needs to. I still think maybe. I can't rule out Witsec and you take your wife with you. Might be why this central casting is off to us. Big maybe. Definitely some Wick said she's a fae, lol. Oh, fed. If you're talking about Candace is not a fed. My opinion, she's definitely working for someone, but it ain't the government. Let's go. We're almost done with this, folks. 0 Hour puts, Candace Owens makes a public statement saying Erica Kirk had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's murder after the lawsuits are filed. Again, just wanted to throw out some love for 0 Hour, and then this one's really going to gross you guys out. She laughed at the prospect of Erica Kirk murdering her husband. And for someone who has seen their partner murdered in front of them, to this day, I couldn't find a way to make humor around that.
Think about Erica Kirk.
Would I get sued?
Throw it in the pile.
Oh,
of course you will.
I don't want to say anything that's controversial. She did it, but I don't want. She was on it.
I don't want to get into.
I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
She's part of it.
I can't wait till that gets clipped.
She's a plant. But
Yeah, it sounds like somebody is grieving for their friend, right? Some of y'all just want to be hoodwinked. Benny Johnson, balls finally dropped 7 months later. He finally calls out Candace Owens. I think this is more self-preservation for him because she was dropping the bombs on him. But I'll give you guys 18 seconds of him finally showing up to the party that we've all been doing. And he had the biggest platform where he could have the biggest impact, but he didn't. And I have my suspicions of why, Benny. But here's Benny.
And since I do this professionally, it's time to not stop with the both sides of stuff. You either bring it, right? You either bring your receipts, you show people what you're talking about, or you don't have any receipts and you're a effing liar. So bring your receipts or you don't have receipts. If you don't have receipts, then shut up.
Yeah, you should have done that months ago, Benny, especially when she was calling you out on some nasty shit. But regardless, he did that. And why does all this matter? Because this is the collapse of the deep state, folks. And here's one last little segment, and then we'll close it out with Tucker. I talked about this last week. It's kind of been escalating, so I wanted to give an update. Dan Bazarian says, you do podcasts for a living. Get over yourself. You duck a real convo, but whine like a bitch on X. That's telling. He's talking to comedian David Smith. Dave Smith says, dude, this is insane. This started with me agreeing to have a conversation with you. Then you call me a liar, and if I fire back, it's proof that I'm a subversive Jew. I'm sorry that this is just too stupid for me. But since your game here is to lie and pretend I was scared and ducking you, let's debate. What would you like the topic to be? So seeing these guys all go at each other is absolutely fantastic. And so with that, folks, this brings us into the final segment. We'll run through this pretty quick. Tucker Carlson. On Pierce Brosnan, Buckley Carlson, so Tucker's brother, not his son, because his son and his brother have the same name, tried to suggest that Donald Trump didn't want to strike Iran, but that he was pressured into doing so by Israel. Here's how I responded, and this being Will Chamberlain. So take a listen to this, folks. If I have it, and I don't. So we'll pass on that one. But anyways, I wanted you guys to just kind of hear how extreme Tucker's brother, and that's comedian Dave Smith, that's next to him, how these clowns sound. But then when somebody pushes back on them with some logic, they're just kind of like, because they don't have the narrative of bots on X. So my apologies, I didn't have that one here for you guys. I thought I did. But now we get into Tucker himself. So Nathan Livingstone puts out Tucker Carlson, this Milk Bar TV. Tucker Carlson literally forgot what he had said in his New York Times interview, where he hoped for a future where people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent, is his quote. He had to disavow it in the follow-up. Tucker spews so much bullshit that he can't keep track of it from one interview to the next. I feel like the New York Times set up Tucker. I feel like there's some backdoor operations flying out, and Tucker got his ass handed to him with the receipts that they brought. What are we talking about? This is going to get interesting, folks. Listen to this.
This is not fine, is the truth. So again, long-winded answer to a short question, but the future that I imagine is not a future in which we're yelling at each other about race. It's a future in which people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent, on the basis of thwarted economic opportunity.
You said in our previous interview, the future that I imagine is not a future in which we're yelling at each other about race. It's a future in which people are legitimately revolutionary, maybe even violent, on the basis of thwarted economic opportunity.
Well, I certainly didn't mean to endorse violence. I can't imagine I would never say that intentionally. I'm amazed that you have a tape of me saying that, and I just want to disavow it.
Who's speaking into these guys' ears that they don't remember what the hell that they said? And it gets worse, folks. Ryan puts out, New York Times, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist. Tucker Carlson, I never said that. New York Times, yes, you did. I'm going to let you listen to this, and then I'm going to provide you guys a clip that most of you have probably never seen. And maybe it's an explanation to what's going on. But before we get to that clip, listen to Tucker not know what the hell he's talking about.
You've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one, I actually tried to understand it. I may have said some are asking that. I'm not weighing in on that because I don't understand it.
I mean, you heard it, folks. Now, here's the thing, and it's hard to I am not a fan of Tucker anymore. I'm very clear about that. I've stood my position on this for quite some time now. But it's also not an easy position to take because I did like Tucker so much. And I think it's what I said earlier in the show. You got to be able to emotionally disconnect yourself from the characters and position yourself on the information. You know, when people say, well, Tucker's playing a role, I don't think he's playing a role anymore. When you have people that are trying to push the subversion to the point where it rug pulls the support for the president, when you get these people to start pushing don't vote, that's literally the definition of subversion. When our president is telling us to vote. And when you start to push the Antichrist in these conversations, that goes beyond the threshold of disclosure. And that's why, if you guys look, I've been calling out MTG since 2021. You guys were all pissed off at me back then. I was right then. And some of you literally post on my social media, stop saying that you were right. Well, then start listening so I don't have to. But since you don't listen, I got to remind you that you were wrong and I was. So this way, maybe you will listen. Now it brings us into, I said, maybe there's an answer to why. And I'm going to navigate this very carefully because I do believe in God and I would never want to accuse someone of something. But I do believe that possession, stuff like that is real. I do. You know, I was raised Catholic, taught catechism, very involved with the church, you know, since I was a tiny guy. And I came across a clip quite some time ago and I was just like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know this about Tucker. And then when this conversation about the Antichrist comes on, he's like, I don't even really know about the Antichrist. But then you look at the clip before where he's talking about it, and he actually does have an understanding of it. One has to wonder, is Tucker dealing with a mental issue right now? Or is Tucker dealing with something far more demonic? And I know you're probably saying, hey, Alpha, you're crossing the line there. Don't take my words. Take Tucker's.
Do you think the presence of evil is kickstarting people to wonder about the good?
That's what happened to me.
That's what happened to you?
Oh, yeah. I had a direct experience with it.
In the milieu of journalism or just...
Nope, in my bed at night, and I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs in the bed and mauled. Physically mauled.
In a spiritual attack by a demon?
Yeah, by a demon. Or by something unseen that left...
Is that right?
Claw marks on my sides, on my...
So it left physical marks?
Oh, they're still there. Yeah. A year and a half ago.
Was your wife terrified? I know you were.
I wasn't. I was totally confused. I woke up and I couldn't breathe and I thought I was going to suffocate, and I walked around outside, and then I walked in and my wife and dogs had not woken up, and they're very light sleepers. And then I had these terrible pains on my rib cage and on my shoulder, and I was just in my boxer shorts, and I went and flipped on the light in the bathroom, and I had 4 claw marks on either side underneath my arms and on my left shoulder, and they're bleeding.
Wait, they were bleeding?
They were bleeding, yeah. No, they're actual claw marks. And I sleep on my side, so I wasn't clawing myself. I don't have long nails. And they didn't fit my hands anyway. But yeah, that happened. So I'm not from a world where things like that happen. I never heard of anything like that happening before. I had no idea what that was. I knew it was spiritual immediately.
You did? Okay, that was going to be my question.
Yeah. I don't understand to this day. I'm not going to put it.
You didn't try to refute the spiritual part in your own mind. You went right into the.
Well, it didn't make any sense, and it doesn't now. But I'm not from a, what do they call it, faith tradition that talks about things like that or even acknowledges their existence. Like, there's nothing like that. I've never heard anybody say anything like that in my whole life.
What was the next day like?
Well, the next morning I woke up and I thought that was the weirdest dream I've ever had. And then I saw blood on my sheets and I realized that was not a dream at all. I called my assistant, who was like the only evangelical Christian I know, well enough to call with something bizarre like that, totally bizarre like that. And she said, oh yeah, no, that happens. Yeah, people are attacked in their bed by demons. What? What are you even talking about? Yeah. So, I'm not leaving anything out, and I'm not pretending to understand that. I can only say what happened to me, and that did happen to me. And then I was seized with this very intense desire to read the Bible, which I then started without any study aids or anything. I bought a Bible that didn't have any. I'm not interested in editorializing in the Bible. I just want to read it and see what's in there myself. I have very low levels of trust for Christian pastors, most of whom, I'm just not a fan at all. And sorry to say that, but that's how I feel. And so I don't want to hear other people's opinions. I just want to see what's in there. And so I spent a year and a half reading it, and then I started rereading it. And it was just a transformative experience for me, but I'm not, holding myself out as someone from whom you could get theological advice, because I'm not.
Of course.
I don't know. I don't understand any of it. But yeah, that happened.
God
to me.
allowed the demon?
I have no idea what happened. All I know is I was dead asleep with my wife and dogs, and I woke up with claw marks on my rib cage underneath my arms, and it didn't even make sense. My arms would, anyway, whatever. No one has to believe me. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
But that happened to me, and so I just was like, wow, that's real. Whatever that is, I'm even not sure what it is.
It's very real. And so then that presence of that evil launches something.
So that interview was about a year ago. Hold on, let me just double check real quick. That interview was about a year ago, and that was what do you say, a couple months before then. So we're looking, a little less than 2 years ago when that incident happened with Tucker. Again, his words, not mine, but I would say, pray for him, pray for Candace, pray for all these people. I don't like them. I want to see them held accountable for the propaganda and the subversion they're doing. Don't mean that I want to see their souls condemned. That's for my maker to judge them. So pray for those people. We have one Rumble rant that came in, so we'll do that. We'll get into the last post. Then I have a very motivating video. So we end on a positive note. Not don't want to end on that video. Dollar for dollar coming in from Redneck Renegade says, prayers for my friend Timmy. He was crushed in a molding press last week. He was transferred to Ann Arbor on Saturday for facial reconstruction surgery. He is now critical, stable, and ICU recovery. Definitely, Timmy, let me write that down so I remember his name when we do the prayers. Sorry about that, Redneck. Man, that's terrible. Let me bring me down, and let's get into the final post, and then we'll do prayers, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow. So I did this post, and it starts off with, don't read it if you're weak-minded. And I know the vast majority of you, 99% of you in here, I'll say 98% of you in here are all strong, but there's 2% of the haters that come in here, right? And so let's take a read to this, and this will lead into the video that Adam posted for us, which I thought was great. If you spend your days screaming the plan is fake, but you can't articulate a plan of your own, you're not exposing anything, you're exposing yourself. You're not smarter, you're not more awake, you're not some elevated thinker above the chaos, you're just afraid. And worse, you don't want to be afraid alone. So you recruit others into your doubt, wrap it in confidence, and call it truth. Let's make this simple. If you can't define the plan you claim doesn't exist, you're not thinking, you're echoing. Another voice, another script, another follower pretending to lead. And miss me with the I believe in God while you sit on your hands. Faith isn't passive. Faith moves, faith builds, faith steps into the fire when it doesn't have all the answers. If your belief doesn't produce action, it's not faith, it's comfort. And these brilliant minds who say they never stepped up because they knew that the wars were fake, no. A real warrior doesn't wait for perfect truth. He shows up knowing the battlefield is dangerous, manipulated, and unfair. And he fights anyways, because that's what warriors do. They carry the burden so others don't have to. If God gave you awareness, intelligence, instinct, and you used it as an excuse to avoid the fight, you didn't rise above the system. You hid from your responsibility. That's not wisdom. That's fear with a vocabulary. So let's call it what it is. If you tear everything down but build nothing, you're not a threat to the enemy. You're part of the stall. You're part of the distraction. You're part of the delay. And if this hits you, good. That means something in you still recognizes what you've been avoiding. You're not mad at me. You're just mad because I won't let you hide behind words anymore. Pick a side. Build, lead, fight. Or keep talking and watch the real ones move without you. Semper Fi. There's a whole lot of demons out there, folks. Whole a lot of demons. And so with that, I'm going to say our prayer. And then I have a phenomenal video to close out. Let me get this set up for you guys. You guys do me a solid and please smash the thumb and hit the like on your way out. The other treat I had for you guys, I'll probably show it tomorrow because it's, like I said, about 20-22 minutes. And we are about to hit the 3-hour mark. And I think we can actually get out of here under that. So I'm shooting for that. So let me drop in our last ad for some coffee. And then it's prayer time. So actually, I can pull this off now and go full screen with me. There we go. Make it a little easier for you guys to take a screenshot of that QR code. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin-free and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who have been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. So go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Again, I appreciate it, folks. Thank you for the Rumble rants. Thank you for, let me just double check, make sure no more super chats came in. Yep, we got all the super chats. Thank you guys for all the support. I know it's late for you guys on the East Coast and even Central Coast right now, and you guys still stood in here with me on this. And now I would ask you guys to do the next step, which is take this information and go out and teach your coworkers, teach your family, teach your neighbors. Don't just let this information sit in your brain housing group. Turn it into something that can grow and expand. And again, content's free. So subscribe if you can, if you don't mind. Father, I want to start off this prayer with a special request for Rednet Renegade's friend Timmy, that you bring healing as quick as possible, that you give him a way to see light and hope when everything probably hurts and seems dire for him, Father. Father, I also ask that you try to heal the souls and save the souls of many of those publicly and in private that have turned against you in this country and that have done things that they don't want the world to know about. Father, that you get them to realize what they're doing is to stop fighting for darkness, but to fight for good. Father, there's a lot of people with spoken and unspoken prayers, and I ask that tonight you hear them and in some capacity bring them peace. Father, protect this nation and protect us in the days to come, and help to guide our discernment and protect our mind and our ears from those that wish to deceive us and mislead us. We pray and we ask all this in your son Jesus' name. Amen. I'm tired, folks. It is 11:33 here on the West Coast, and we are on our way out. Good night. God bless you, and I really do hope you guys enjoy this video on the way out. See you guys next time. Simplify.
In truth, everybody runs around every day talking about truth, and they're trying to get to the truth, and they want to hear the truth. That's one of the biggest lies I've ever heard in